Welcome everybody to episode 27 of the ADV podcast. Today we're going to be talking about numerous things, but of course the biggest thing in the news is what's going on in Hong Kong. We will be dedicating a fair amount of the show to that, but we have a lot to cover, so maybe we should get stuck.
I'm actually surprised this time you didn't say this is a big one, guys.
It's an important
This is
one.
an important one.
It is an important
It's always an important one.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, got a little princess up here.
Yes, let's take a look. I think by now everybody knows who this is. This is Meng Wanzhou, which is... maybe you can give a bit of a background on her.
She is the CFO of Huawei, which is, you guys know, that 5G technology company / cell phone company, a juggernaut in China, and has ties to the People's Liberation Army and the Chinese government. She was caught because she was doing business with Iran, who the Western world is not supposed to be dealing with. Mm-hmm. So she was arrested in Canada, where she stays in a multi-million-dollar mansion, as you can see with her little bodyguard there, and her little ankle GPS bracelet. But China was very mad at this. So what did they do? Well, you can pull up the next photo.
Okay, well, I mean, I would like to quickly point out that she's also the daughter of the owner of Huawei, so it's all nepotism, and it's all Communist Party ties and stuff. And what she really did was she lied to a bank to say that, basically what they were doing is...
Well, that's actually got caught.
Yeah, not selling to Iran against sanctions.
Right.
These two guys, one of them is actually a friend of ours, which we don't want to say which one because we don't want to get them into more trouble than they already are in. Were the retaliation, and it's gotten to the point now where China's not even really denying the fact that they arrested these guys in retaliation to the arrest of Wanzhou, because these guys are Canadians, and they're fairly high-profile Canadians. Kinda. I mean, not really. Our friend is not massively high-profile, but he still, does things, and so they decided...
He's not a politician.
No. And the other guy, well...
He's a diplomat.
Yeah, basically, what happened is these guys were, within a week, just arbitrarily arrested. No charges were brought against them. Nobody knew why, and it took forever before...
State security.
Yeah, where they finally said, that they've been doing things to harm China's state security. And every single time a new thing comes up, when there's a new thing... regarding the trial of Princess Meng, as they call it.
Cringes me out.
Yeah, they always bring up these guys, and they're always like, can get a lot worse for these guys if things don't go well in the next part of the trial.
It's like despicable shit.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, they are not staying in multi-million-dollar mansions. They are in political prison with the light on 24/7. One of them had their glasses taken away so he couldn't read.
They have been denied consular visits.
Yep.
So, they're actually basically being held
hostage
in a detention center where they're living in awful conditions,
like North Korea style.
Yeah, Princess Meng gets to swan around. She's allowed out the house. It's not house arrest. She's allowed to go shopping and buy LV bags and whatever with her bodyguard. She just has to wear an ankle bracelet, which is GPS, not an LV.
Why are we bringing this up?
Well, let's take a look at what's been going on very, very recently in the news. Well, of course, it's all related.
So the huge controversy for the Chinese government was that they didn't want to see Canada give Meng over to the U.S. to face trial, because that's where the actual transgressions happened, right?
Yeah, because it's all, Canada has an extradition treaty with the USA, and she broke the U.S. law.
Right, and it was a big one.
Yeah.
Right. So they were really pissed off, and they said, don't you dare extradite her. This is... China thinks that other countries work like it does, like greasing palms and bribery and corruption. But unfortunately for them, real legal systems exist in Western countries. So she was to face trial, which she did. She just lost the trial, and it is now being put forward that there is a very distinct possibility that she will, in fact, be extradited to the U.S. for trial. Yeah. And the Chinese government's pretty mad. Yeah,
well, let's rewind a little bit. Just before... which this actually happened yesterday when they announced what was going to happen. Just before that, the Chinese media, state media, was saying things like, she will be released and she'll be back in China within 4 days.
She won the trial.
She won the trial. This is what they were telling everyone. It's absolutely ridiculous.
I actually got scared because that was the first thing I read. I was reading Chinese media.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? She won the case? And then I was like, oh, no, she actually lost the case?
So what her lawyers have been trying to do is try to prove that double criminality doesn't exist.
Correct.
So what this means is the law that she broke, the American law, is not the same law in Canada. Because that's the whole point, is like, if, let's say there's a law in America that you break, but that law doesn't exist in Canada, they can't actually extradite you because you haven't broken the law within the borders of Canada. But fraud, in other words, lying to a bank, is definitely a crime in Canada, so it's going ahead.
Correct.
But of course, this has caused a lot of outrage. You can see some of within the last week, just some of the top headlines. Let's read a few of these out for those of you listening at home.
This is like right afterwards.
Yeah. And this is from the Global Times, which is the official Chinese Communist Party mouthpiece in English. Yeah. So you read the first one.
Okay, so... And we didn't piece these together.
No, this is
just
straight,
on the website.
Straight from their website, yeah.
Era of U.S. intimidating China over. Pompeo makes arrogant, hysterical statements about Hong Kong autonomy. I love the language.
Yeah.
Meng ruling by Canadian court outrageously wrong. World needs to recognize gravity of China financial war. COVID-19 deaths hit 100,000, a monstrous failure of the U.S. system. Mm-hmm. U.S. virus death toll, a new stain on its human rights record.
Yeah, what does that have to do with human rights?
Are these guys 12?
I don't actually know. But anyway, you can see there, like, Meng ruling by Canadian court outrageously wrong. I would like you to read. I actually took some quotes out of an article from the Chinese state media, and this is what they said.
This is pretty tasty.
Yeah.
The Canadians, this is quoting state media from China. The Canadian side should immediately correct its mistake, release Miss Meng, and ensure her safe return to China at an early date so as to avoid any continuous harm to China-Canada relations, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Zhao Lijian said on Tuesday. The U.S. and Canada abused their bilateral extradition treaty and arbitrarily took compulsory measures against a Chinese citizen without cause.
This is rich hypocrisy, because that's what China does, like what it did with our friend and the other Canadian. It's kind of an arbitrary detention. They don't even bring any kind of charges towards them until later when they kind of figure out what they can get them on. She broke the law.
Right.
Okay, and she was arrested because she blatantly broke a law.
Right. They're claiming they abused their bilateral extradition treaty. Isn't that why it exists? What do you mean abusing it?
It's not abused. It's just they used it.
Number two, there's another bit of rich hypocrisy here. A Chinese citizen, huh?
She also has a Canadian passport.
So a Chinese citizen's actually not allowed to hold more than one passport. In that they have a Chinese passport, they have to get rid of and renounce their Chinese citizenship before they become a citizen of another country. Yeah. America doesn't need that. Canada doesn't need that. So the Chinese government allowed her to hold multiple international passports.
7
I think
passports?
something like that, right?
She had like 7 passports.
Which is against the Constitution of China.
I'm not sure what nationalities they were or if they're expired or what the deal is, but she definitely had multiple nationalities.
Right.
The thing is, there is a big disconnect, and China doesn't understand Western, sort of law.
Right.
Because in China, the law is directly tied to the leading Communist Party. Like the Communist Party can say, this guy hurt my feelings, lock him up, and that's what happens. Yeah. Okay? In the West, the politicians cannot dictate law. So let's say Trudeau decides that he doesn't like broccoli. He can't say, all broccoli stands must be shut down and make a law against it because I find it offensive. He can't do that. Right. All right? And if his buddy gets arrested for shoplifting, he can't say, look, I'm the president, commute a sentence. He's not going to have a sentence. The law acts independently from politics. Correct. But in China, the law and politics are one. Right. So they think that if they can put political pressure on Canada, that they're just going to somehow release their Princess Meng. And they think that if they start arresting and detaining Canadian citizens, they blocked off Canadian exports. They've made all sorts of stupid retaliatory things just because this woman broke the law and was arrested.
It's like the first time in history where it's the worst nationality to be in China is Canadian. Yeah. Like usually people put Canadian like patches on their backpacks and stuff because they don't want to be American abroad.
And and Canadians are, like I've said before, always seen as, very liberal, caring, sort of bleeding hearts, people that nice people, but unfortunately, in China, being Canadian is a bit of a problem at the moment. But it's just ridiculous, the hypocrisy. And that, as you said, is the ministry, the foreign ministry spokesman is saying these things like, Canada, you should correct your mistake.
Well, this is Zhao Lijian. I mean, he's been notorious for his outbursts. And it's this new state-sponsored wolf warrior diplomacy thing. Yeah. We're not going to be diplomatic anymore. We're going to fight.
I've seen releases from the Chinese state media directly after that, like, Canada should stop continuing down this wrong path. It's
like your teacher.
Understand law and understand that there's a judicial process, and you can't do the same as you do in China, which is all about bribery, connections, guanxi, and intimidation, and you can get what you want done.
It's such an example of like when someone drinks their own Kool-Aid for too long, because that's, like you said, the judicial system works in China. Even if you go all the way down to a local level, if there's some sort of transgression, right? If I'm pissed off at someone, I can screw their life over if I bribe a local judge.
Yeah.
It can go all the way down to that. Bribe the local police department to go arrest someone.
You can.
And then it goes all the way to the top because the whole system is rotten to the core.
Absolutely.
And I think a really good modern example about what you're talking about how politics is separated from the law, right? Trump's new thing is that he's saying, oh, I want to block Twitter, like screw Twitter and all this kind of stuff. And everyone, I was reading on Reddit, people are like, this is ridiculous. We're going to end up like China. Guess what? He can't block Twitter.
No.
He doesn't have the authority to do that, right? So it doesn't matter what a politician says.
Yeah.
In action, they can't go against the constitution of that government, right?
Sure.
It's separate from their
checks
opinions.
and
Checks and balances. So anyway, I just thought that was kind of interesting. So we'll give you an update probably in a couple of weeks. When we
we'll see how it goes. But basically, you see the worst of China whenever she comes up, because you see these threats and saber rattling. And
right.
It's disgusting the way that the Chinese press behaves and the Chinese foreign ministries and stuff, the way that they talk to nations who are simply following the law.
Right.
You know, maybe they should be looking at the fact that the Huawei CFO committed fraud, okay? And if they are so confident that she didn't commit fraud, why not let the trial continue and stop opposing it? Stop trying to make it not happen.
Well, it's the same thing as like they won't allow an independent investigation of the Wuhan virus origins because they know what they're going to find.
Yeah,
right?
They know the truth is too much to bear.
Right.
And they will lose too much face, and it will prove that they're full of lies and smoke screens and facades.
Right. It's kind of like those people that get pulled over or whatever, and they have tons of drugs in their car. Yeah. And they're like, officer, you can't search me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, what isn't there like a worse thing to do? Like officers like, mind if I search your car? You're like, yeah, please go ahead. The minute you're like, no, it's my right. You're not allowed. Then you know there's something
like bags
wrong.
Of ecstasy.
Then it's like, okay. Then the officer's like, hell yeah.
All right, now I have to go get a warrant, but we got one.
We got one for sure. Yeah.
Okay, next.
Yeah, let's move on to what else.
This is a bit of drama from me.
Oh yes, this is quite interesting. I can't wait to talk. Well, no, first we're talking about the racism.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. This is interesting. I've seen a lot of this. I think we initially touched on this kind of stuff when we were talking about the CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, and they keep throwing around these allegations of racism, and it's usually tied to the coronavirus. So if you talk about the fact that the coronavirus came from China, or maybe it is the fault of the Chinese government, that is equated with racism.
Sure.
And these are Western media outlets saying this, right? This is SMCP, South China Morning Post. They're operating out of Hong Kong. They don't have full autonomy over their content, but they're usually pretty good.
Yeah.
This editorial, though, I thought this opinion piece was quite interesting. This is a white guy named Sean McMinn, right?
McMinn, yeah.
Why don't you read this headline? Like, it's shocking.
Why Hong Kong students spreading racist coronavirus memes and blaming China are playing with fire.
The COVID-19 crisis extends beyond Hong Kong politics in China. Singaporeans and Hong Kongers have been racially targeted overseas because of the virus. Pitting the virus on China only reinforces bigotry and racism. Can you tell me what's wrong with this?
This stupid white man over here is trying to tell us that Hong Kong students saying that the coronavirus comes from China are being racist.
Yeah.
Does this moron of a white man understand that Hong Kong people are Chinese? That they are racially identical to the Guangdong Southern people?
100%.
They are Chinese. How is it possible for a Chinese person to be racist against a Chinese person? Do you know what race means? Do you know what like racism is? Do you know the difference between race and nationality? The difference between, blonde hair, blue eyes, black hair, brown eyes? It's different. These are the same, racially identical people. You can take a DNA sample from my wife who lives in Guangdong and one from somebody who lives in Hong Kong and will be identical. They're probably even related.
As long as they didn't move there from mainland.
Yeah, sure.
Now, that's the thing about this Sean guy,
Stupid white man. Learn what racism is.
That's what I was going to pinpoint here, is that there's two scenarios where either a word can lose its meaning. One can be as it's overused, so it loses its meaning.
Sure.
This is a case where it's actually just used wrong.
It's totally wrong.
You can't be a journalist, right? And I'm assuming this guy's a journalist. You can't be a journalist that works for a very high-level publication and completely butcher and destroy and get a word wrong in its definition, completely flip-flop. Because literally, and I said this with the CBC, with that white lady,
Yeah.
You, Sean, are being racist in this
Yes.
scenario because you can't differentiate
Yeah.
race versus political opinion.
If you said discriminatory
Sure.
coronavirus means, that's different. Spreading discrimination is one thing, but it's not racist, you bellend. I'm so tired of people using this word.
Right.
It's like the go-to word.
Use it correctly.
Whenever somebody says something that someone doesn't agree with, all they need to do is call them a racist and then
Right.
shut them up. Well, guess what? You're a moron, Sean. You're an absolute moron. Look in the mirror. Look at yourself. What race are you? Are you Ethiopian? I don't know, because you obviously don't know the difference between different races. You frickin' knob-gobbling bellend.
Now the second part
Sorry.
of this, no, that's I love your rants. The second part of this is one of the what's it called, the cartoons in question. Now this is not to say that the Hong Kong students are making the cartoons.
Yep.
He's accusing them of spreading it, right?
Right.
And he's saying that that's affecting Chinese people or
Right.
Hong Kongers or whatever abroad. If I look at this photo here, I'm looking at this cartoon of Xi Jinping, who is
Yeah.
a brutal dictator, and his head is a coronavirus. Can you tell me what is racist about that? So let's remove his allegations.
Sure.
What's racist about this cartoon?
Yeah.
Can you tell me anything racist about this cartoon?
Nope. It's just like when people make stupid, cartoons about Trump and make him look like a pig or
Or George
whatever.
Bush or
Yeah.
Obama?
Yeah.
Political cartoons
Yeah.
are not inherently racist.
Yeah. And I love how he says that the Hong Kong students are causing Hong Kong people overseas, or like
That's a stretch.
being targeted.
Right.
And, Singaporeans who are, for the most part, also Chinese.
A lot of them, yeah.
A lot of them. It's dumb. It's just dumb. This whole narrative that the West has by trying to use the racism word and pull the racist card when it comes to the coronavirus is absurd.
Or just political opinion in general.
It's just absurd. And I'm so sick and tired of it because it's a smokescreen. They're trying
Right.
to prevent, once again, people from looking into it properly.
Right.
They know that the Achilles heel of the West is this racist allegation. They know that if they throw that out there, it's going to stop people from continuing their investigation, continuing to push
Correct.
the whole narrative.
Because it's too sensitive, right?
Yeah.
The idea that it is racist to call a government bad, right?
Yeah.
To criticize a government doesn't make sense. But this is the same perfect example of how the CCP's propaganda has worked
Yeah.
on these people. And when we went back to the CBC thing, the Canadian thing, I was shocked to find out that one of the people in the video wasn't even paid or told to say this stuff.
Sure.
He's just literally been consuming so much media that has led him to believe that
Yeah.
criticism of the CCP is racist.
Exactly.
And it's delusional. And it's scary to see that work. And I don't know about Sean. I mean, he is working for a partially state-owned news outlet, but very curious to know if that's his real opinion or not.
I don't know, because it is. He should be called Sean McMoron rather than Sean McMinn. Anyway, sorry. If you put your name out there and you put opinion pieces out there, you better be prepared to have a little bit of backlash.
Well, and
Sean.
he can retort back to us as
Yeah,
well.
please
It's
do,
fine.
Sean. Tell me why Hong Kong people are racist towards people of their own race. Explain that to me. Please, Sean, I'm waiting.
All right, enough Sean.
Yeah, let's move on.
Sean of the dead. All right, what do we got next? Oh, yeah, here's a little mind drama.
Yes.
So you guys probably know I put out this 2-part series about TikTok, and I talked about soft power propaganda from China on American TikTok
Right.
first, and then my second follow-up one is I dove into Douyin, which is Chinese TikTok. And I showed the difference between soft power propaganda, kind of gentle propaganda on the American version versus the Chinese version, which is harsh.
It's much more
If you guys haven't seen the video, go check it out.
It's funny. It's worthwhile looking at. It's entertaining, but it's also scary.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So this is the issue: is I uploaded it first, and then I get this copyright claim. The first one ended up being "Rise" by John Dreamer. Now I didn't put this music in here.
No.
This is in the background of all these Douyin clips that I'm watching, very popular ones too.
Yeah.
Right, and a lot of these are monetized, by the way. So these people in China are making money off these
Yeah.
Douyin videos. So there will be a song playing in the background, and then I get a copyright claim. So what I do, I actually went in and cut out some of the stuff. Right?
Yeah, you cut out that particular audio clip for that one.
Correct. So I got rid of it, and then I uploaded again, another one, and another one. If you guys see that timeline, it says 23 minutes. There were four content claim IDs, and you can say it says eligible for revenue sharing, meaning I get like 1% of whatever,
But
and
the rest goes to the artist. And
But the
they'll-
problem is,
yeah.
it's more than one.
Yeah.
Right. So there's multiple revenue sharing. Now
Yeah.
I can't make money, so I just said screw you guys, and I
Yeah,
just
monetization's
demonetized
off,
it. It's
yeah.
like I'm not making money off this video. So my issue with that is that they're using all of these Western soundtracks
Yes.
to back Chinese propaganda that's being
Yes.
malicious to the West, right?
Yeah, it's
The irony is hilarious, but I also get pissed off that they don't have to deal with copyright claims.
No.
And they operate with impunity to steal these creators of music who are not getting paid.
Nope.
This John Dreamer guy and all these other people should be royally pissed off that millions of people are watching these clips.
Yes.
And those people are getting money for it, and they're not seeing a cent.
Yeah, this really gets to me, because what's happening is these TikTok, like this propaganda woman here, who I'm loosely calling her a woman because I prefer to call her a female dog equivalent. The thing is, no, seriously, they are using like emotional music, impactful music in order to drive their point home. And their point is in support of China against the West. But they're using Western music made by Western people that they have stolen in order to try and put that impact onto Western people.
This is not copyright free.
From China. Yeah, of course not. It's not copyright free. It's stolen music that they're using in their propaganda pieces. And this is something that anyone who's lived in China will know, that there is no such thing as copyright in China. As much as they pretend that there isn't. That's why you can still go onto the street and see 5 fake New Balance stores next to each other. You know, 85% of all counterfeit goods still come from China. They're still made in China. And you turn on the TV and you'll have national TV using like Star Wars music in their game shows and stuff, which is not licensed. They can use any music they want. They won't get into any trouble. They can use clips out of movies on the TV whenever they want.
So I've been hit with, there's another YouTuber out there, who will not mention, that has a very opposing opinion of this. And this person has actually been bitten by something like this, but still defends the fact that he thinks, and I think Wired and Verge I can't remember, Wired or Verge put something like this out, that China has the most comprehensive and best copyright legal system in the world.
Yes.
And this person, this YouTuber, and this big mainstream media thing really believed that.
Yeah.
And put it forward after they've already been affected by this.
It's crazy.
And you can't put out a huge TV show about how the copyright system is so comprehensive when it's so blatantly not.
No, it's not. You can literally use any music you want that you get off the internet. You can freely download it. You can, it costs nothing.
I can even go further. You know how like here, if you want to watch a movie, you can pirate it. It's a crime, right? But you could get punished for it, theoretically. You probably won't get caught.
Sure.
Now, if you want to do it the legal way, you have multiple options. Either you buy a Blu-ray, so you have physical media, or you can download it, so you permanently own the download.
Google Movies or something.
For $20.
Yeah.
Or you can rent it, which cuts off your stream after a certain amount of days, right?
Yeah, 3 days.
In China, you can go on a video streaming website, similar to YouTube or something like that, and then I think Baidu and QQ has one. You can pay like 10 RMB, so let's say like $1.50, to watch a licensed Western movie that they didn't license.
No.
So you're paying the Chinese company that pirated the movie to watch it.
Sure.
That's what level we're dealing with.
It's quite crazy. But yeah, it's just really annoying that if you try to share one of their videos, you get hit by a copyright claim in the West.
Right.
But in Douyin, which is in China, they don't get hit by anything, and they can use whatever they want. It's ridiculous.
Unless they criticize the government.
Hypocritical. Why don't you use Chinese music to make your point? Maybe it just doesn't exist. In fact, that's why.
Yeah, not to that dramatic level.
It's probably like Peking opera.
Right.
They could use that.
She was using like, on one of them, she was using like, what's that video game where you play that dude, Assassin's Creed or something?
Yeah, the Assassin's Creed.
She was like using the Assassin, and you know what pisses me off even more than this copyright issue?
Assassin's Creed?
No, I don't like that game either, but they don't know how to master their audio.
Yeah, sure.
It's like 100,000 decibels, so the audio, the music is crackling, and then the voice is like subdued under that, right? So the main focus is the song. But she was using like Assassin's Creed music to be like, America is disgusting, despicable country.
I know. Oh, anyway, rant over.
Yes.
So, I gotta say one thing though. Like you were talking about people pirating stuff. Well, there's one way to avoid that.
What's that?
A VPN.
A VPN.
No, but that's not what I really wanted to say here. Maybe you could get into this. What are we telling everyone now? By the way, guys, please bear with us. We'll hit super chats in a minute.
Yes. Today's video is sponsored by NordVPN. You guys probably know they sponsor us on ADVChina as well.
Yeah.
The reason we're bringing it up today is that NordVPN has been downloaded en masse. You can go back to this part later. You might want to show the Hong Kong part.
Yeah.
And the reason is, VPNs in general are getting downloaded en masse. Yeah, just pause it on one of these.
Yeah.
The reason being is that our main topic that we're going to get into, they need internet anonymity more than ever right now.
Yeah.
So it's become like a huge forefront issue for people in Hong Kong to get on a VPN. Yeah. I like how we're blocking the actual thing.
Well, I'll just make that clean then.
There we go.
Okay. No, quite seriously, before you continue,
Sure.
I have to say that it's scary what's going on with the internet in China right now and the cybersecurity threats. We're going to cover that a little later, some cybersecurity stuff. But for instance, tomorrow on my channel, there's a young man who I interviewed, and what happened was he made a post on Facebook, which had very few people watching it, very few. It's had like, he wanted to create an event, had 2 people following him that were going to go to the thing, and 5 people like interested. His parents in China got a phone call from the national security telling them to force him to take it down and cancel the event. The amount of spying from the Chinese national government on its own citizens abroad, and of course on Hong Kong citizens and so on,
and everyone really.
Yeah, well, sure. It's so like out there. It's crazy. So you have to take every measure possible.
Sure.
Of course, you have to use good practices like not using your real name, trying to hide your, this and that. But using a VPN helps so much in hiding your identity and your location. So if you are in Hong Kong talking about something sensitive, through a VPN, you can make it look as if you're in Helsinki or something.
For sure.
You know,
make us disappear so I can do the first read.
Okay.
If you go to nordvpn.com/ADVChina, you'll get 70% off 3-year plan. That is in fact what we did because you save that much more money.
Right.
And if you use the code ADVChina, you actually get a month free, so you're not liable to pay for anything if you don't want to use it.
Gotcha.
But go back.
I'm going back in time.
We have to cover a very important use outside of security.
Okay.
And that
it's your
is
favorite
called,
thing.
It's called region locking. It is pretty cool, actually.
Okay.
So
explain.
Pause it here.
Okay, I will.
So if you go on something like, oh, you're really...
I paused it. I better freeze that.
Bro!
Sorry.
Let it go.
Okay.
If you look at this here, it says Frozen 2. This is on Disney+. It says, due to existing agreements, this title will only be available on July 17, 2020. Now, whether you like this or not, if you're in the UK right now, or a lot of countries actually, you can't watch it until this date.
Okay.
But if you go on the VPN, if you use NordVPN, you can actually watch it. Just pretend like you're in America.
Right.
You can trick the servers. Same with Solo. Solo is actually not available in America right now, but it's in the UK. So if you go on a UK server, which is what I did here, it'll actually become available. And that's just not Disney Plus, and Netflix and Hulu and all that kind of stuff. So you can change your content. Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm more interested in the security side of things. I know you like to watch Frozen a lot, so
Frozen 2 in particular,
Frozen
because it's
2.
available to me because of region locking.
Okay.
Pause it and then make us go away again.
Okay, I'll make us go away.
So if you are interested in that or many other reasons to use a VPN, nordvpn.com/ADVChina, 70% off 3-year plan, and use the code ADVChina for a free month. Thank you very much. Cool.
Okay, we're done with that.
We're
right?
done.
So we have to talk about super chats.
Yes, we
Okay,
do.
we're
Are we going to talk about it?
No, we have to, because remember last time we did our live stream, something very weird happened, and pretty much the whole of YouTube crashed for about 15 minutes or 20 minutes. It was all offline and weird. So there were a bunch of super chats we weren't able to answer on the stream. We did, however, record and answer them. And if you are one of those people who asked and didn't get your answer, please go into the community tab of the ADV podcast. We've posted the link there. You can go and listen. It's about 25 minutes of us answering.
I can actually have Jesse Armad post a link in the chat for that.
Okay.
Cool.
So,
we're going to hit some super chats.
Let's hit some super chats.
Masjada, do you think resistance will continue after 2047? Not if what is happening now comes to fruition, which probably will.
I mean, let's be honest. There wouldn't be resistance if they hadn't screwed up and just waited until 2047, but they're too impatient.
Right.
And of course, Hong Kong being a free sort of Western democracy just totally flies in the face of what China is, and it makes the Chinese government look bad, and it's like a bad example to their citizens. Well,
how do you sell your citizens on authoritarianism when you have like this bastion of democracy?
I know it's terrible, because Hong Kong people and Hong Kong's now part of China, and so the people inside China are looking there and saying like, why can't we be like that? And it's starting to implant little ideas in some of their minds about maybe a little bit of freedom. Getting a little bit of that lovely sort of Hong Kong vibe going on.
Right.
And so they have to stop it, and they just can't keep their hands off. So, by 2047, the Hong Kong people were resigned to kind of, integrate by that time. They don't want move one of the two. But they were promised that they would not be interfered with until then. And so that's why they're so pissed off right now. They're fighting against the fact that Beijing has broken their promise.
Right. And the fact
continues
that the rest of the world could be affected by this as well.
Yeah, and that's going to be our main topic in a minute anyway. So.
Also, could or will China use more drastic measures then? Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
100%. They can do that now.
Yeah.
Ultima Mike says, oh my gosh, this system. Will global businesses move out of Hong Kong now? A lot of them are currently doing that.
Yeah, sure.
It's just not conducive to business. Jan Fosca, good evening, guys. Hope you're well. I miss these live streams.
I can turn invisible.
Oh, cool. With your Kirkland's sprinkle.
Anyway, sorry, please continue.
Could the UK, Taiwan, Japan step in with their army to help protesters? Here's some cash. Go get some cold beer. Love from Prague. Thank you.
Thank you.
They could not. That would be an act of war.
Yeah, because unfortunately, Hong Kong does belong to China.
Right. It's just they're supposed to have autonomy.
Yes, they're supposed to. It's actually kind of ridiculous, the whole state of affairs, but we'll
Sure.
get into that, yeah.
Haisei Sasaki, thank you for standing up against communism. You are doing God's work. Salutations from the Bay Area.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And we'll do one more.
Right.
Mr. Scarab 007, thank you. I love your content and that you're always trying to speak the truth. Stay awesome.
You know, I forgot to roll out little what's new, so I'm just going to do it now.
Because people get upset.
Yeah, and we did talk about what's new, so we finished the what's new segment now, and it's time for us to move on to our main segment, which of course is Soft Power Hour, where we talk about how the Chinese government is trying to change your mind through propaganda and various other sort of underhanded means.
This one should be called Hard Power Hour.
Yeah, I guess you're probably correct. So let's just cut to the chase then, shall we?
Yeah.
What is going on in Hong Kong? By the way, these clips have been sent to us from a friend like yesterday or the day before.
This is on the street.
This is very recent.
So pause it here.
Yeah.
Maybe until it's not playing.
Yeah.
This says, police warning, this meeting or procession is in breach of the law. Disperse or we may use force. Now, why would they have this many armed police out there with gas masks on?
Tear gas. And
It's not from the 2019 protests.
this
this
is
is not the same thing.
it's like 3 days ago.
So what happened was, I'll give you a little refresher. In 2019, China tried to push this law, extradition law, that meant if you commit a crime in China and you go to Hong Kong, you can get sent back into China for a 99% conviction rate in a very corrupt, unfair judicial system.
Absolutely.
Correct. Hong Kong people said, well, what does that mean? That means if I speak out against China, or I do something that China doesn't like, the mainland Chinese government, I'm basically a political criminal in my own country that I'm supposed to have freedom of speech in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So Hong Kong people took the streets in millions, one of the biggest protests in the history of mankind.
Yeah.
Amazingly inspirational. The whole world watched, right?
Yeah.
And it worked.
Yeah.
They stopped the bill.
They did.
They had to. Like, there was too much shit going on,
Yeah.
right? Unfortunately, after the whole coronavirus thing, it gave Beijing some time to recalculate.
Yeah.
And what they did was said, okay, bye-bye extradition bill. Here you go, Hong Kong. But guess what? We're going to make a bill and a law that says that anything to do with national security or anything that speaks out or tries to harm the Chinese government,
Anything that could be a threat to national security.
right, is now culpable in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
So what they said is not only are they going to institute this national security law, which basically means that Hong Kong people are under mainland Chinese law now,
Yeah.
right? Is number two, instill their own branch of secret police, and this is not a rumor. They have their own branch within Hong Kong
Yeah.
to arrest like thought criminals, more or less,
Basically,
in Hong Kong. That effectively just makes Hong Kong not Hong Kong anymore.
No,
It's
it
just
takes
part of
away the
mainland China.
autonomy. You know, that's the big problem with this whole situation is they basically just reworded and they're forcing this
Sure.
in. They're trying to write it into Hong Kong basic law. So what's going to happen then is, like you say, anyone or anything that is considered a national security threat to China can then be arrested and spirited away in Hong Kong.
I think a lot
It's
of
the
people.
same thing.
It is
It's
exactly
just
the
worded
same.
differently. You know?
Spirited Away, great movie by the way. No, the issue I think a lot of people who are watching now that don't
Do you know the
understand.
Japanese name of that?
No, I don't.
Sentochihiro Kamikaze.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Anyway,
I
sorry,
love that movie.
continue.
A lot of the viewers out there, I shouldn't say a lot. A good chunk of viewers out there probably don't understand that when I say national security threat,
Right.
I'm not using the lens of the U.S. If I say national security threat from the U.S. lens, it means that something actually harms the, not integrity, it harms the actual safety of the citizens of a country.
Yeah.
Right? So a national security threat could be a organization that's planning to do military harm to the U.S.
Sure.
National security on China's side, if we're talking about the CCP, Chinese Communist Party, means that if you say something that pisses off the CCP, and we're not talking about threats.
No.
If you say something that, if you draw Winnie the Pooh,
Yeah.
or you write a book about Xi Jinping is evil,
Yeah.
you are a national security threat and you are a terrorist.
Sure.
Right? So you can imagine, let's use New York City as an example. Let's just say all of a sudden, all citizens of New York City, right, have to succumb to Belarusian law. Right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden out of nowhere. So everything's stripped away at this point. The reason this is such a big deal is that the only reason that Hong Kong was kind of left alone, and Beijing didn't do this earlier, is because Hong Kong's an important conduit for China to deal with the rest of the world and vice versa.
Yeah.
Right. So you have international companies there. It's actually one of the freest places in the world.
Yes.
And it's very honored. Like, people really respect that about Hong Kong, and they want to do business there because it's not mainland China.
No,
but they can get access to a Chinese market.
I mean, you know what it's like. Whenever you're doing any kind of business out of China, you always have to go through Hong Kong.
Yeah.
You have to have a Hong Kong business set up, or at least some kind of an office there. You have to have a Hong Kong bank account because the Hong Kong dollar's pegged to the US dollar.
Yeah.
It's a currency that's, recognized worldwide, whereas the RMB is not. So the yuan, it's very difficult. You can't take a pile of yuan and go to, I found out the hard way, you can't go to South Africa and walk into a bank and change yuan. They're like, what is this garbage?
I was
Get
so
it out of here.
disappointed.
Yeah, but you can do it with
Hong
Hong
Kong
Kong
dollars,
dollars
easy. Even
easy.
in my
So-
little small town bank.
So this is the thing. If you want to do business, Hong Kong is a conduit, and Hong Kong is a financial center. It's a financial hub. Most of the white guys walking around in suits in Hong Kong are working for the financial industry and working in banks and stuff. It's massive, and it's such an important city for China. It's got special trade agreements with people all over the world. It's got special tax breaks. It's got everything. It's still run by British law. It's a different kind of a place,
It's how the Chinese government skirts sanctions. So, like, when China screws up and commits human rights atrocities, as it always does, and then Western countries, sanction them, put tariffs on them and this stuff. Their conduit, their hack per se, is to go through Hong Kong. So it was important for all sides.
Yeah.
Now, China didn't see this as going to blow up in their face. They said there's nothing they can do about it.
Yeah.
Right. There's nothing they can do about it. We're going to push this through, but maybe people will still want to do business. So we'll retain some of the economic freedoms. But it doesn't matter, because what happened, I don't know if they thought this was going to happen, but America just deleted the autonomous status of Hong Kong. And that has such big international implications to the point where every thing that China has to do, all the extra tax and tariffs and all this kind of stuff, sanctions, everything that pertains to them pertains to Hong Kong now.
Yeah.
Right. And that's destroyed Hong Kong. It's a double-edged sword. Or Joshua Wong, for example, the leader of the democracy movement there, protest movement. He is not upset. He's upset because this is going to hurt Hong Kong people's lives. But he's also happy because this is the first time that there's international pressure and be like, Beijing, you just effed up.
There have to be repercussions for China to ever back off,
right?
Because they won't.
No.
And this is something that they've grown very used to. Is they step over the line, they renege on their promises all the time.
Right.
They steal IP. They literally steal technology from around the world. They go and destroy Africa and take all the. I'm obviously talking about the government here, not the people. They take all of the mineral resources. They cut down the forests. They do all this kind of stuff. They decimate wildlife because of their stupid TCM beliefs, where they need rhino horns and pangolin scales and stuff. They do all of these things, and there's never any real repercussions. No. They get a little rap on the knuckles where people are like, hey, that's bad, don't do that, it's bad for the environment, or something like that, but they don't ever get like, okay, well, you've just screwed up, so now you don't get this anymore. They just don't have that. No. They're sitting in the World Trade Organization as a developing nation. They get tax breaks, they get shipping costs reduced and stuff because they're pretending to be like a poor little, third world country. And, literally on the same level as an undeveloped country like Ethiopia or something, getting all the same kind of tax breaks and breaks that country would get. Meanwhile, they're a massive expansionist, neo-colonial, imperialist power that's going out and carving its way through the world.
No joke.
And doing all sorts of garbage. And nobody calls them up on it.
No.
There's no pushback.
No.
So they're like, we'll do what we want. And so I think it's very important for them to realize that when you do have these bad actions, when you do these bad things like they're doing to Hong Kong, breaking their promises, trying to force their way, there has to be some pushback. And that's the only time they'll listen, is if they get a smack.
Well, I mean, yeah. And to enjoy free trade status, you have to have a reputation of following due process, right? So in 2019, before the protest, there were more pro-CCP seats in the Hong Kong parliament than there were pro-democracy seats. And that was bad. That was a bad sign of bad times. Sure. After the protest, the pro-democracy people won in a landslide. Yeah. They filled most of the seats in parliament, right? Yeah. I want you to go try to find a slide for me to show you how they've broken this so badly and scrub through this.
We'll get back to some of this because it's important.
Footage, where's go back. Right there.
Wait.
The number.
Yeah, okay, I'm getting there. Sorry, we're dealing with I'm getting there. Oh, I gotta just reverse it a little bit.
Okay.
Keep that picture in mind. Okay, there we go.
So they forcibly removed the pro-democracy people who are in the government, by the way. These are elected people.
Yeah.
Forced them out of parliament, right?
Yeah.
Like physically.
Sure.
And then put like guards around them because they were speaking out against a law in Hong Kong. And this is just a piss take. I can't believe they even tried to push this through. A law in Hong Kong that says if you make fun of the Chinese national anthem, not Hong Kong, the Chinese national anthem, you can go to jail, right? So they're like, it's not my country, right?
Yeah.
They get pushed out. This is the vote on the national security law that will literally make Hong Kong a part of mainland China.
Yeah.
Basically, fully. It says fan dui. Fan dui, do you know what that means? That means one opposition. They had one opposition.
Yeah.
So of course America's going to remove special trade status. You didn't act like a country.
No.
It's proof that Beijing has taken you down.
Dictatorship.
Yeah. It's over.
Yeah.
And it's heartbreaking because we are a national security threat.
Yeah. No, we are. And
we are.
This is something that
to them.
This is honestly why this hits home so much, is because we realize that if we were to travel to Hong Kong, if this bill is passed, which who knows, it probably will, the way things are going, if we were to land in Hong Kong, they could arrest us because they could say that we're a national security threat
and try us in China.
Because we make videos that criticize the Chinese government.
Right.
And whether or not we're being malicious or anything, it doesn't matter. We're not trying to create riots and overthrow anyone or anything. We're pointing out the shortcomings of the Chinese government and pointing out, where things need to improve. That's what we do. But they could classify us as being a national security risk. So just like if we were to travel into mainland China at the moment, they would definitely have a thing or two to say to us. But we could literally land in Hong Kong, which, by the way, is still one of our favorite places in the world.
Hands down.
The Hong Kong people are amazing. Hong Kong is an incredible city. It's an incredible culture.
Beautiful.
And it's a very different culture to mainland Chinese culture. It's like chalk and cheese, 100%. It's a very unique culture. But, if we were to travel there or just divert through there on our way to a different country, because we're always in Southeast Asia and stuff, we could just get picked up and taken into mainland China because of this stupid law.
And there's a good chance that would happen.
Yeah, and you see, this is the biggest problem with this law, is that it basically is there to silence people. And so anyone in Hong Kong who would then be critical of mainland China, which is in their constitution, they can be. There's freedom of speech in Hong Kong.
Assembly.
Yeah, although we've seen mainland China, the CCP will usually kidnap people who are outspoken to try and shut them up, or do all sorts of dastardly things. They're still a very underhanded government. It's a thuggish government. Yeah. But the fact of the matter is, now it'll be lawful for them to simply pick up whoever they don't like, and they can make up anything. They like.
Why do you think they would make this?
Yeah.
I mean, anyone apologizing and saying, like, they need a national security law because they don't have one, right? Is delusional.
Yeah.
Because it's clear this has nothing to do with national security. Do you think China actually cares about the safety of Hong Kong citizens? They're like mowing them down in the streets, basically.
They constantly, you see on Chinese social media, how the mainland Chinese nationalists call Hong Kongers dogs, and how they want to kill them all, how they want to go in there with tanks. Right. It's like a common thing that you see on the Chinese internet, which is never censored, by the way.
No,
it's always put out there. But if you want to say, ooh, Xi Jinping looks like Winnie the Pooh, that'll get censored.
Oh, yeah. For sure, because that's important.
Yeah, totally. But, you can basically threaten to kill every Hong Kong citizen and get away with it.
So this is backfired for another reason. I guess you can go to that passport picture.
Yeah.
So not only did Hong Kong just lose their special economic trade status, which effectively...
By the way, that's what tear gas will do to you.
Yeah, you choke to death.
Well, if you've got asthma, it's terrible.
Yeah, I think it's bad either way, but it's worse if you have asthma.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, our friend got really close to these guys. This is first aid workers right here.
And, these are volunteers.
Yeah.
And what they do is they're there to help anyone who's hurt or, someone who gets tear gassed or whatever. So then usually student volunteers or just volunteers, and
Correct.
The police are like, get the hell out of here, we're going to shoot you type thing.
Right.
Well, obviously with tear gas.
Right.
Well, this tear gas you right now. It's not a very good situation,
No.
I do want to touch on something before we talk about the passport thing. And this is actually something very important. The people who criticize the Hong Kong protesters, there are a lot of people out there who say that it's their fault, they're too violent, people are setting things on fire, people are, doing all this. Of course, there is a subset of the Hong Kong protesters who are violent and who are trying to do things. But you have to understand, Hong Kong people in general are not a violent bunch of people. They're actually great, fantastic people. But why does that matter if people are being violent? I am going to put this forward to you, and this is for anyone who is attacking the Hong Kong protesters. They are fighting against this stupid law that's going to take away their freedom. Okay. Now, you know the country I'm from, South Africa, had this thing called apartheid. I think everybody knows about that. There was this racist government who was in charge, and the ANC and various other sort of black rebellion uprising groups were fighting against the government. Now, what a lot of these, especially the ANC under the leadership of Winnie Mandela, what they did was despicable. They would do things in the townships if they thought somebody was working for or informing for the nationalist government, which was the apartheid government, the white government. They would necklace them, which means putting a tire around somebody, filling it with petrol, and then setting it on fire so that they burn to death with the rubber sticking to them. It's kind of like napalm. It's a disgusting thing. I've seen personally the aftermath of someone who was killed by necklacing myself. As I was growing up, I've seen the most despicable things happen. These protesters, these revolutionaries were doing the most disgusting, despicable things to not only each other, but bombing shopping centers, churches, civilians, killing people. Yet, would you still blame them and not the apartheid? Would you still say that apartheid is not the problem there, that the protesters are the problem? No. I think we can all agree that apartheid was something that had to be stopped. And so by trying to shift blame to the violent protesters in Hong Kong, what you're trying to say is that these draconian, authoritarian, disgusting rules that they're going to put in place, these laws, are totally fine and there's nothing wrong with them. It's the protesters that are bad. No, because by that token, by that thought process, you're saying that apartheid is fine, but the protesters who are violent and stuff are bad. Let's blame the protesters that are necklacing each other. It's the same thought process.
It is.
Yeah. So look at the big problem here. The big problem is the fact that the Beijing government has broken its promise of anonymity, of autonomy. They said Hong Kong would be left alone for 50 years. They said that.
Right.
And they lied. And that's why people are angry. Beijing broke its promise. That is the problem. Don't look at the protesters being whatever. Let them set each other on fire or whatever. That's their own deal. There's always going to be some shitty people in these groups. And the police will handle it. And you know what? Other protesters will handle it too. Just like in the ANC, you didn't always have violent revolutionaries that were out to kill and rape and torture people. There were tons of people who did that. But at the end of the day, apartheid was bad. And at the end of the day, Beijing breaking its promise is bad. And that's what we have to focus on here.
Moral equivocation.
Yeah.
And it's not to ever excuse violent behavior.
Yeah.
But I fail to see how these people are linking up the purpose of a revolution, the purpose of a pro-democracy protest.
Yeah.
How can you link that up with the idea that, okay, Beijing must be right because a couple people were being bad? Right. Beijing deserves ultimate authoritarian control because some people set a shop on fire.
Sure.
So your message is gone because millions of people aren't all completely hive mind and unified in their actions.
Correct.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it doesn't.
So is there going to be bloodshed if somebody's fighting for freedom against dictatorship? Of course there is.
Yeah.
I'm not justifying that.
Revolution's always bloody.
Correct, but that doesn't take away from why this is happening or the fact that it should happen.
Sure.
Right? Of course Hong Kong people deserve freedom because they're guaranteed it. Right?
Yeah, in their constitution, and they were supposed to. So why are these people even out on the streets? This wouldn't be an issue if China had just kept its promise. And I think we're going to find out throughout the next couple of years just how much the Chinese government never keeps its promises unless it's somehow in their favor. No, they just don't. No. They lie and cheat their way into every situation, and then they get belligerent when they're called out on it.
Correct. Go to the passport thing. I want to show another bit of aftermath here. So not only did Hong Kong lose their trade status, which effectively deletes them from the world stage. I mean, they'll just be treated like a city.
We'll see how it goes. It's obviously not going to be overnight.
No. But it's a big deal.
It's a huge
deal. And I don't know if Beijing expected this, but I don't know if they expected this either. if you're a Hong Kong passport holder, so not a British passport holder.
Before 97.
If you were from Hong Kong before 1997 under British ruled Hong Kong, you didn't get a British passport. You got the special one.
Yeah, it's like a
BNO or something.
BNO, yeah, British non. I don't know.
Right.
Something.
There are still 300,000 people that have them, that kept them.
Yeah.
If you have one of those, you can get British citizenship now. And that flies in the face of everything.
Yeah.
That is a nightmare for Beijing, because if you watch publicly up to 300,000 people, Chinese people, leaving Hong Kong because they're scared of the CCP, and that news somehow gets it to mainland, do you know how inspirational that is to some people? And they'll start questioning. They'll say, why are these people leaving?
Sure.
Because Beijing came into their territory. I thought life is so good here. We love authoritarian rule.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. Taiwan is offering refugee status to Hong Kong people, which is really pissing off Beijing.
Of course.
I hope the U.S. at least considers it.
Yeah.
Hong Kong people are educated. They're
Creative,
financially stable, wealthy.
Yes. Majority of
talented.
majority, yeah. Very hardworking.
English speaking.
In order to survive in Hong Kong, it's a real rat race. Yeah. It's ridiculous. It's just one of those things. I mean, I was married to a Hong Konger for a time, but just
good memories.
My dealings with not really, but I mean that's life. We all have a past.
Of course.
Much happier right now. But
I would hope
the
so.
thing is, if we look at the time that both you and I have spent in Hong Kong, it is its own very, very special place.
It is,
like I said, and it's just a wonderful place with wonderful people, and to see it fall apart like this is always heartbreaking. And I've known from the beginning it would go this way, because I can draw so many parallels to South Africa. When the ANC communists took over, it kind of destroyed the country, and it's left it in ruins. It's nothing like it used to be, and I'm leaving race out of it, and I'm leaving because, of course, apartheid was terrible and all that, but that's got nothing to do with it. It's when you know that there's an inept government that's coming in to take over, and there's nothing you can do about it. You know it's coming. It's kind of pointless. There's almost nothing you can do, but the fact that they put up this fight is very commendable.
Yeah, imagine your country is just overnight is now a part of a dictatorship that can throw you in jail.
Yeah.
All these people, and that's the thing is, maybe they'll be like, okay, I'll shut up from now on. I'm not going to exercise my freedom of speech. I won't talk about CCP. But if they have in the past, and they've been public about it all, they're still culpable for this.
Sure.
Right?
And it's such a unique spot of the world as well. So to have to leave your homeland is also, it's heart-wrenching. It's terrible. And I don't think most people understand what that's like. No. But for instance, I had no choice but to leave South Africa because of the way it was going and the way it went. And, if things were better, I obviously wouldn't have. Nobody wants to leave their place of birth, their friends, what they're used to, the weather, the landscape,
Language.
Yeah, the language. Well, no, that's okay. They can keep Afrikaans.
I'm talking about Hong Kong.
Oh, okay, sorry. But no, quite seriously, it's terrible. So that's why we did see a huge exodus of people come out of Hong Kong in '97 because they thought it was just going to be over.
They were right in a way.
Totally. A lot of them ended up going back. Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of them did
because it was financially advantageous for China to leave them alone. And it's gotten to a point now because of the leadership change. Xi Jinping cares way more about national unity and holding on to power than he does about any sort of economic downfall, because the economy in China is already tanking. Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's much more important to get a populace under control, like little ants, for the CCP than anything else right now.
Now, the whole title of this video was like how it affects you. Yeah. This will affect you in a big way, because what we're seeing is how the CCP can absolutely squash a kind of a free system, and the kind of dastardly little things it employs, the mechanisms it employs. And these mechanisms have spread around the world. And even from the beginning, you can see how white people are calling Hong Kong people racist against their fellow Chinese. It's because of the push from the CCP, and they've infiltrated the way the Western world thinks. The Confucius Institutes in your school, in your university, are there as part of the CCP's intelligence apparatus. The newspapers that are in Chinese that are in your neighborhood being handed out at the supermarket are full of Chinese propaganda, anti-Western stuff. There are people being bought in your government and people that are being bribed. It goes so deep.
Hollywood.
It's not even... Yeah, of course. Hollywood has to change the way they make films in order to appease the Chinese censorship.
And it's not just for the Chinese people. It's the movie you watch.
And, we have our next segment is ties into this
perfectly.
100%.
Yeah.
But it's probably time for some super chats.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Super duper. Dion Chapman, my man. Just because, and good luck, guys. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Pilgrim Media, can you guys ever go back to China? We probably answer this every single time. Not until there's political change.
Yeah.
At this point, we have no idea when that's going to happen.
It would be foolish. It would be absolutely foolish.
See us anymore.
I know people who have been picked up for less than what we do.
Much less.
Okay, yeah, and like we said, our Canadian friend who's never done anything.
He's never spoken out against the CCP.
He loves China.
He's been there like 19 years.
There's the thing that really gets to me is when you know these people who have dedicated so much time to China, they love China so much, and then they get nabbed in a situation like this, they get used as a pawn.
That's why we're a
It's
voice.
like the most heartbreaking thing ever, because these people have given so much and then it all gets taken away,
right?
And they're treated as an enemy,
right. Christina Youngren, greetings from Minneapolis, which is currently a mess. Yeah, I heard about that. It's crazy. Best of luck. Stay safe, stay away from the riots and stuff.
Oh, is that where they're burning everything down?
Yeah, you heard about that, right?
I heard something about that. Yeah, it's terrible.
This asshole cop choked a guy to death in cold blood. Elena Lopez, I have self-identified Wumao online friend. Not sure why he befriended me, who is appalled by the new security law. He thinks it's drastic. In your opinion, is that how a lot of Chinese people feel? So this is the way that it's working. If you look at Global Times, so English-speaking Chinese media, state media, they talk about it because they know foreigners are going to be reading it.
Yeah.
Or Chinese abroad, that maybe Chinese is not their first language. You see a lot less about the Hong Kong thing on Chinese news. Nobody's
they try to
talking
keep it
about
out of the press.
Right.
It's out of the press.
So to answer your question succinctly, most people don't have an opinion on this.
No.
There are people like the dissident you spoke to on your video that will come out tomorrow, right?
Yeah, you got to watch it. It's super important.
And this is a mainlander that absolutely thinks it's horrible, right?
Yeah.
Andrew C. China knows our vulnerability on the left flank and pushes racism and imperialism narratives, when in fact they are the racists and the imperialists.
Probably the worst racists of them. And I'm sorry to say it, it's just from experience. The racism that's just part of society there, it's just normal to be racist,
right.
And it's the kind of thing that would completely gobsmack most people.
Sure.
But the fact that you can't read or understand or speak Chinese, you wouldn't know it's there.
Right.
You're walking around thinking life's like brilliant.
Right.
Meanwhile, you got people literally saying racist things to you as you walk past, shouting out racist things.
And the issue with that is, like, if you meet a Chinese person in mainland China that has a lot of international friends, they understand quickly and learn quickly how to be tactful.
Yeah.
And those people, unfortunately, are not the people that make it into leadership, right?
No.
That's the problem.
No, yeah.
There's no cure for it.
Yeah.
Adam Atkinson, keep it up, thank you. L.E. Munoz, seems like vitamin D is a cure for COVID, but the real money is new vaccines and pharmaceuticals. Never let a good crisis go to waste. I'm going to have to disagree with you on that. We're definitely going to need a vaccine for this.
There's all sorts of so-called remedies. Like, please don't buy into that snake oil crap. Let's wait until science gives us a real answer.
Correct. And promote science.
And literally, just try keep yourself healthy.
Yeah.
Either way.
Do one more. Isa, the not so great. Hello from Massachusetts. Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Remember that song?
I do.
If you guys decide to conquer America, I recommend coming to New England. I love New England. Really unique from the rest of the U.S., especially driving through Salem and Plymouth are awesome. Stand with Hong Kong, as we will.
Thank you.
Okay. Shall we move on?
Yeah, we're going to move on to Guanxi Corner, everybody.
Sure.
And this is where we basically talk about relationships, whether it's business or personal or whatever it is.
It's also expanded into this thing where if a patron or a subscriber or whatever sends us a letter, we'll answer it on air if they agree.
Yeah.
Okay. So, hey, Matt and Winston, you might want to pull up the slide. It goes right along with it.
Okay, I'll get there. You can give me a second. And it's coming, guys. It's coming. It's just one of those things.
I see it.
It's just like that train in the back. There we go.
Okay. Don't you love this flag?
Yeah.
Why don't you explain what that is first?
What, Wu Mao?
No, this.
Oh, that's the stars of the different branches of the
right.
Communist Party.
This is Mao.
Yeah.
And there's
Mao.
5 of them, so
there's
it's
5.
Wu.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty funny. By the way, let's give you a direct translation of what Wu Mao is.
Yeah.
Wu means 5, and Mao is like a currency. So it can also mean, yeah, never mind. Okay, 50 cents is what it means. Mm-hmm. That's literally, I actually had one around here somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's wrong.
Sorry about it.
Anyway, the whole point of Wu Mao is there's a rumor. Well, it started as a rumor. It's actually true. You have part of the Communist Party of government. There's like these divisions, and their whole point is to go online and to basically soft power.
Yeah.
That's what they do, is they go to anyone who's critical of China, and they will flood the comments with pro-China stuff.
Correct.
And they will attack the original post to try to discredit them as much as possible. And the rumor goes that they paid 50 cents per comment. Obviously, that's not correct. They get a salary. It's just a normal government
It's very
job.
low.
But it's a real job.
Sure.
And that's what they do. So we call them Wu Maos. So Wu Mao is equivalent of saying someone is a troll.
Right, but
An internet
a troll with the purpose of supporting the Communist Party of China.
Correct.
And to change any narrative that the CCP is bad.
Yeah.
Now, I think what makes our commentary about, I've seen a lot of people talk about Wu Mao. What makes ours so palpable is right now live, you are amongst Wu Mao in the chat section.
Yeah, we actually have
Wu Maos
we have
in
Wu
there,
Maos, yeah.
Right, and that's fascinating. They're probably watching this being like, "Yay, they talked about me."
Yeah, exactly. Shout out to all my Wu Maos.
Wu Maos can be dastardly.
Yeah.
They can be like absolutely disgusting and just use racism, yell at you, and blah blah. They'll also use Chinese a lot so that Chinese speakers can see it.
Yeah.
And they also will do it soft power, like you said, change the narrative. Like, oh, look at the great achievements, lifting out of poverty, all this kind of stuff. Now, what happened was, well, I'll just read the letter.
Yeah.
Hi, Matt and Winston. I just read about YouTube, Google censoring your words Wu Mao Dang or Wu Mao in video comments. I've tried on a few videos and it's real. We have tested it and we proved it.
Yeah.
This is a massive story that needs exposure. Guess Winston and yourself could be the ones to dig into it. So it was true.
Yes.
Google/YouTube, if you typed in Wu Mao, and this is not, you can't type the opinion, not the letters. You have to type the characters.
The Chinese, yeah.
After about 15 seconds, that comment will go away, and we tested it.
Yeah, we actually screen
filmed
recorded.
it, yeah.
We filmed it, so we've got proof. And it's quite ridiculous. YouTube was censoring this word Wu Mao, and they also another one which kind of means Kami Pinko, you know. Here's the thing. They were censoring it presumably because it's racist or derogatory or whatever. But that's the same as censoring somebody saying internet troll or troll.
Is that racist?
Or bigot or something.
Right.
So let's just say you type, you are a troll. And then they will censor that comment because you used the word troll. It doesn't make sense because it's not actually like an attack word.
No.
You use it to describe a specific kind of a person who is of poor character, who, you know, his whole purpose in the comment section is to troll. So you say, this Wu Mao said this, or, you know, like, don't be a Wu Mao or whatever. That's now censored. Right. So YouTube came along a couple of days later and said, oh, yeah, it was just a mistake of our service. But how is it a mistake?
Come on, YouTube. Can you at least try?
Yeah.
Can you be like, we screwed up, we thought it was racist, but it's not?
Yeah.
Because it's not. You can see people are typing it.
It's not blocked anymore. It's not blocked anymore, but it was. And we've got proof of that because we filmed it. We recorded it. But the fact that this is very clearly Chinese CCP, you know, saying that we're hurt because they don't like our Wu Maos, you know, you better make sure people can't comment against it. It just shows, it could be a bit of a conspiracy theory, but it might be all this soft power that the CCP is pushing. YouTube's gobbling it up.
The fact that you can actually type in racial slurs and swear words and actual nasty language in the comment section makes me not believe that this was an accident.
Yeah, so why is it that you could actually say like a racist slur against a black person or a Chinese person or a white person or whatever, and that doesn't get, you know, censored, but you can't use the technical term for internet troll,
very innocuous,
paid internet troll.
Not derogatory in the slightest.
Yes.
It's not a swear word.
No, it's not.
It's fine.
Yeah.
You know?
It's a describing word, you know?
I made a t-shirt about it.
Yeah, you did.
It's actually currently for sale.
Yeah, it is.
What was I going to say about this? Oh, yeah. So, yeah, to answer your question, it's back now. And their YouTube's or / Google's explanation, we just think it's total bullshit.
Yeah.
Whether it's as malicious as we think, the intent, or not, it doesn't matter. Like, I really don't think they're telling the truth about that.
No, I don't think so either. And I honestly think that it's the soft power of the CCP getting through once again to Western media and Western social media and so on, because they have so successfully pushed this narrative that it's racist to say anything against the Chinese government or the Chinese country.
Because that's a race.
The country of China. That they're getting things like Wu Mao blocked.
Right.
You know, it's ridiculous. Meanwhile, in their own media. They can use the N-word and they can be derogatory towards people, xenophobic, block foreigners from staying in hotels, prevent foreigners from entering in the borders, blame the coronavirus on foreign... Like, this is their legit news outlets. Blame the coronavirus on other countries. Call other countries names. Like, say that... What did they call Australia? The gum
on the
stuck on the shoe
of China.
And then they called them something else, like something very derogatory.
Remember that they called like Denmark the sick man of Europe, and then they got mad when they said sick man of Asia.
Yeah, what was that they called like some recently they said that Australia is like the dog of America or something like that. Whatever, like that, some nonsense. But this is state media saying these kind of things. But yet it's racist to say Wu Mao. It's racist to say the coronavirus came from China.
You know what's even more tasty is that YouTube and Google is allowing the actual Wu Mao to write derogatory things and actual racist things, but they're not blocked.
No.
But we're blocked for calling them Wu Mao.
And what's even worse is the fact that they are allowing
Right.
anyone coming from China to comment in the first place, since YouTube is blocked in China by the government.
I mean, I believe in freedom of speech forever, and I think it's a great way
but
for them to participate. But these mass accounts...
The government has their own YouTube accounts.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be allowed.
That shouldn't be allowed.
Why is it that CGTN has their own YouTube page?
Yeah, come on. You think we can post our videos in Chinese media?
No, of course not. YouTube is blocked in China, yet they have the audacity to have all their main state media on YouTube, and the same as Twitter and everything else.
I feel like we
should
never
be
get
a rule.
We never get a rise out of people about that, but that's so hypocritical.
It is.
You know?
Literally, it should be, you've blocked YouTube in China. That means that your national government, state media, cannot have a YouTube account.
Right.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Anyway, it is what it is. The rest of the world's just a pushover, and will allow China to walk all over them as they have.
Wusses.
So, are we going to hit a couple more questions?
Yeah, and then we'll go to Worldview.
All right.
Coffee Matcha brother told me that the state-owned Philippine radio station is airing Chinese soft power propaganda. I saw that. There's a lot of pushback for Filipinos as well.
Good.
As should be.
Isn't that president like completely batshit crazy?
So crazy, dude.
Duarte or whatever.
Yeah,
he's like
nuts.
flip-flops every few minutes and like executes people in the street and stuff. That guy needs to go. Anyway.
Gun, as we say.
Yeah.
Shaky Ninja. Hey guys, just want to say thanks. My mom asked me about the crazy things the CCP are doing. I feel like the message is finally getting through the mainstream. Absolutely. And we're seeing a lot of bipartisan support just being like, screw China.
Yeah.
Chinese government, sorry.
Yeah.
Disabled llama.
Yeah.
What an unfortunate thing. Please take these useless dollary dues as because it's Australian.
Right.
As a token of appreciation for all the stuff you've done over the last few months. I flog your channels to anyone I know, and we get started talking about the coof.
Thanks, mate. I really appreciate it. I don't know what a coof is.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll do one more and then we'll go.
But no, thank you very much. And, Australia is honestly the canary in the coal mine, and Canada too, to be honest.
Yeah.
Australia and Canada show us exactly what happens when you allow the CCP to run rampant in your country.
Correct.
Buy up all of your resources, influence your schools, your universities, your police force, your government. You get to see exactly what happens. So I hope the rest of the world, the free world, is seeing this and taking note, because Australia has fallen and is now a property of the Chinese government, and so is Canada to a certain extent. Of course, not fully, but to a certain extent. And it's very clear to see the methodology that was used.
Correct.
And we need to stop that. And, Australia is now starting to grow a pair and fighting back, and I'm very proud of Australia for doing so. And please remember, this is not about racism or against Chinese people. It's about the government and the way it subverts. It is, you would feel the same if another country came in. If, I don't know, South Africa started to buy up all of your mines and all of your deep water ports and your things like that, and invest in your universities and suddenly start making everybody speak Afrikaans, and that kind of thing. Yeah. I think there'd be pushback as well.
Of course.
And stop your civil liberties and say that you must never say anything bad about President Zuma or the ANC, or we will destroy your economy. That kind of thing. I think the rest of the world wouldn't tolerate it as much as they've been tolerating it from China.
No.
So we have to keep a close eye on those two countries in particular.
Correct.
To see what the rest of the world has in store.
That's what we do. That's why you guys can tune in every 2 weeks.
Yeah, true.
Liberator 2142. Hey again, Winston and Milk, your friendly ABC here. Do you think Hong Kong could become the tipping point where China could face mass unrest, or maybe even civil war. No. They have successfully shifted the narrative and told people in China and made them believe that Hong Kong is an ungrateful piece of shit and they deserve anything that's coming to them.
Yeah.
And although not everyone thinks that in China, I don't think they'll find it inspirational enough to where the majority starts to rise up.
It's difficult. I know you're an ABC, so you will understand to a certain degree. But it's very difficult for most people in the West to understand just how much control China has over its citizens abroad and specifically within the borders of China.
Right.
Tomorrow on my channel, I have an interview with a guy who will prove to you and is a good demonstration as to what happens if you even slightly step out of line
abroad.
If you're a Chinese citizen living abroad and you still have family in China. You're only ever safe as a Chinese person abroad if you no longer have any family in China.
Correct.
If your family kind of fled the communist purges or whatever and you know no one's left, because if they even have a hint that you have like an aging grandmother or something there, you're screwed, because they will literally put pressure on you by saying that they're going to hurt them.
Correct.
And it's despicable, it's disgusting, and I will crack that open tomorrow and I will show you proof, because I'm so sick and tired of people thinking that we're talking shit when this is concerned. So watch my channel tomorrow for more proof on that.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Ready for Worldview?
Yeah.
It's Worldview. Now, guys, this is where we talk about things happening in the world, specifically regarding China. And I can't wait to talk about this.
Today's actually international, kind of.
It is kind of international. We're going to start, of course, with Steam.
Yeah, this is pretty spicy.
Okay, guys, we all know Steam, right? Anyone who's a gamer, Steam is something you install on your computer. You have a game library. Now, Steam's kind of got this gray area relationship in China, right? First of all, the games are severely discounted. If you sign up for the sort of Asia, China, Steam, China Steam, we've got a couple of friends. Games cost like 20% of what they usually cost because they realize that in China people will just pirate stuff anyway. So
we make it convenient and it's all in one place. You charge a little bit of money, they're willing to pay.
Yeah, exactly. So we got a couple of friends, because they're cheapskates when they're living in China. Seriously, guys, pay the full price. Stop being such a cheapskate.
Well, and we can't play with them.
No, because it's like cut off. So they're cheapskates, so they signed up for the Chinese service and they pay like $20 for a game that we pay $64 for
Even
instance.
less.
Yeah, $15 or something. But Steam has now secretly been rolling out the alpha version of their censored Chinese Steam client. And this is really a big upset, because some of my friends have got like hundreds of games and literally they're probably going to lose them all. But here's the fun part. Of course, China has a big problem with any sort of access to international gaming or international anything, because it's out of their control. And that's why they're constantly banning games. Games have to be like specifically vetted before they're allowed. If you've got a PlayStation 4 in China, the Chinese PlayStation store has like FIFA and a couple of.
It's probably, like 1% of the games.
They got like a handful of games.
And they banned the international PSN store.
Yeah, you're not allowed to get anything. So if there's a game that maybe has China as like a villain or there's anything,
dude, it's not even that. Look at Animal Crossing on the Switch. Just because you can draw stuff, and Hong Kong people are like,
drawing like,
CCP.
They blocked that. But it's quite crazy. I mean, even if there's like a spat with the NBA or something, they'll block NBA 2K or whatever. You know what I mean? It's just garbage like this.
Right.
So. Anyway, Steam, this new version of Steam, get this. How many games do you think are going to be available when it finally releases? Because it's on the way to being released.
Well, let's think about how many games are already on Steam.
Thousands, dude.
Right.
Thousands.
40.
You'll be able to choose out of 40 games. But it gets even better. In Steam, when you log in, you have your username. You have a little avatar. Yeah. You're not allowed to have a username.
Show it.
Yeah, okay. So
I want to read this quick.
Okay, go for it.
Healthy Gaming Advisor, and this, I'm assuming this pops up, right?
Yeah.
Boycott harmful games. So the CCP is telling you, and actually dictated to Steam, to tell people to not play games that they don't like.
Yeah.
Reject game piracy. Exercise self-protection. Avoid deception.
Yeah.
Moderation promotes brain health. Excess play is harmful to the body. Well-planned use of your time will lead to a healthy lifestyle.
Okay, we have
This is 1984.
We have to give a bit of backstory. China has a massive problem with internet addiction, and like with the youth who just basically are addicted to games. They play like LOL and whatever, like just don't do anything else. Drop out of school, go live in an internet cafe.
I mean, it's not.
They've got internet re-education camps
I know.
where they use shock therapy. At least, maybe not now. They used to, but it's a big deal.
It's a big deal societally. Yeah.
But still, this is getting really draconian.
Yeah.
So let's take a look. By the way, these are screenshots of the alpha release.
Yeah.
These are actual screenshots. It hasn't been released yet.
Correct.
We don't know when the timeline is exactly.
I'm getting some QQ vibes here.
Yeah. What is this?
What is this garbledy-gook? So you see, go point up here at this. I guess you can't see it up there. Yeah. The question mark thing.
Yeah.
There's no avatar there for a reason. You're not allowed to have an avatar in Chinese Steam, and the reason being is the CCP doesn't want someone to have a picture of a Taiwan flag.
Yes.
Winnie the Pooh. Protester, Winnie the Pooh. They're that butthurt and scared that everyone's just anonymous, right? Number two, you can't have a username, so I can't be called like F the CCP. I can't.
Yeah.
It just get a random number.
Can't. Yeah, you get a random number. So that's the thing. You can't be like I am SerpentZA or whatever, and your friends can find you. You will be given a random number.
How communist is that?
It's ridiculous. So
it's like communist games.
Here's
your number. Get in line.
Yeah, you're totally. And I think it probably randomly generates every time you join as well. So people can't even like hang on to.
Well, you probably add them, right? See it as a friend base. But.
Yeah, but it's ridiculous. So you get a very long name, and you're not allowed to have an avatar, of course.
And you get 40 games.
Yeah, 40 games only. But here's the part that really gets to me.
Right.
Here's Counter-Strike, okay?
Right.
All right, what does it
Very
say down there?
popular in China.
Playtime exceeded. You can't play this game between 10 p.m. and 8 a.m. the following day. Please take a break. Okay.
You can't make this up.
No. So basically, the Communist Party of China is going to dictate when you can play games. And if they think you're playing for too long, they're just going to shut you off.
You will enjoy your 40 games.
Yeah.
Turn it off.
Yeah, you're only allowed an hour.
Bad for your health.
Yeah.
Avoid deception.
Yeah. So now, basically, all of our friends in China who have Steam accounts are very worried that they're going to lose their massive game libraries.
We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out if they get to keep it or not. But still,
they can go screw themselves. I love those guys, but I don't care about that.
No.
I care about. This is what I care about. Of course, the Chinese government's going to do something like this, but Steam, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Capitulating. Just because they want that freaking market. It's the most greedy bullshit thing. You're punishing Chinese people by allowing this to flourish.
Also, what are you going to sell? 40 games?
40 games.
I guess they're expecting like 1 billion people are going to buy those 40 games.
Reminds me of those, remember like, they have those infomercials for those like black and white handhelds, like 99 games in one. You don't need those expensive cartridges.
Meanwhile, there's like two games with like different colors.
Yeah, no, it's different difficulty.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's nonsense.
Anyway,
yeah, so that's something that's in the world news. We'll keep an eye on this. Of course, it hasn't been rolled out yet, but this is the alpha version. And we can expect that something like this is coming because they have already banned international multiplayer games.
Correct.
So you're not allowed to game with foreigners anymore.
They don't want them Chinese people to talk to.
Yeah, they don't. That's the problem. Is they don't want any kind of outside influence.
One road.
Yeah, it's such a sad state of affairs where you cannot allow your own local populace to talk to people outside.
No, but they want a unified.
Because you're so worried about the fact that the outside world might have different opinions. It's ridiculous. It's stupid.
Slave owners.
Yeah,
dude.
it is. Okay, we've got something else to talk about because this actually affected a subscriber of mine who sent me an email.
Yeah.
EasyJet was recently hacked.
A Swiss company.
Yeah, so they were hacked, and the tools that were used in the sophisticated way of the attack points to Chinese hackers.
Uh-huh.
I can't say 100% that it is, but we all kind of know it probably is. Because according to Reuters anyway, there have been several attempts and attacks on travel companies and airlines and stuff recently by Chinese hackers trying to get travel data and credit card information and so on. And I think
9 million customers.
Yeah, 9 million customers were compromised,
2,000
credit cards were taken, etc. And I wanted to touch a little bit on this and just say that there's this whole idea of hacking, right? Because hey, look, when I was a younger guy, I was a script kiddie.
I did a little bit of hacking.
I was one of those guys running WinNuke and IRC chats and stuff, and I love that whole hacking vibe, but it's usually in the West, hacking is kind of like stupid little kids or trying to prove themselves, or you've got like people that are trying to do fraud or phishing or whatever the case. But in China, it's like a massive juggernaut,
it's a job.
And it's the government-sponsored hacking. They've got hacking farms. Okay, it's actually like it's actually like a military thing.
It's a PLA branch.
Yeah, and we've I would like to draw a lot of attention to this, because what we keep forgetting is that this is being used and it's having massive impact on actual military applications and things like that. I would like to present to you China's new jet. Which one do you think it is?
I can't tell.
Yeah.
I'm going to assume it's the top one.
Yes, it is the top one. That is the J-31 fighter. There's also a J-20, which is also similar. And the one below it, of course, is the American F-35. Now, the reason why I'm pointing this out is that in as early as 2007, and this is confirmed, this is not like, oh, this is a maybe thing. It's confirmed that Chinese cyber espionage hacked into the Department of Defense and stole, 163 terabytes worth of designs of the F-35, the Joint Strike Fighter, this very expensive, plane.
Yeah.
And they basically stole all the design blueprints, and they stole all the radar information and the weapon systems and the stealth information. And so you see the new Chinese planes coming out look identical, and of course are using all the same stolen technology.
Black Hawk
like that. Yeah, the Black Hawk helicopter. And I mean, this is just once again proof that this stuff is going on. And it always boggles my mind as to why, people aren't really talking about this. This is pretty much, it's theft of military secrets. It's a massive thing. Why is there never any kind of retaliation? I never see that.
Right.
We're still, Russia still sells, Su-35s and stuff to China, even though China stole all the, engine plans and stuff, and all their jet engines and stuff are stolen, illegally produced, non-licensed versions of, Soviet jet engines and stuff. It's just quite ridiculous. But we thought we'd just show you over here a little bit about the names of some of these departments, right?
So there's 3 branches, and these are all military based, and they're actually directly in control of these hacking farms that we keep talking about.
Yeah.
First one's called Specialized Military Network Warfare Forces, and these are military units specialized in network attack and defense. So these are the big dogs, right? They go in and basically try to take down networks in other countries, right?
Yeah.
Also defend them. PLA, which is People's Liberation Army, these are the grunts, the soldiers, right? Authorized forces, network warfare specialists in the Ministry of State Security and the Ministry of Public Security. So these basically generals control these peons, basically, that go out and do DDoS and all that kind of stuff to attack networks. Then you have non-governmental forces, which are civilian and semi-civilian groups that spontaneously engage in network attack and defense. Wumaos!
Yes, there we go.
We found them.
They're the Wumaos.
It's official.
Yeah. So, I mean, the fact of the matter is that, of course, we know that governments around the world engage in cyber, attacks and hacking and stuff. But there's like irrefutable proof that China does this on a large scale. And, the proof is right in front of your eyes.
Basically with impunity.
With impunity, yeah, like seriously. I just don't understand why America would even be trading with a country that steals their military secrets. Sure. I wouldn't. If it was me, I'd be like, hey, listen.
If you were a country,
what the hell? It cost us billions of dollars to do the R&D and development on this fighter jet. Not only have you stolen it, but you're making exact copies,
to potentially fight
us. Why is it that we're selling you soybeans again? Why is it that we're buying your electronics? I would be like, listen, man, screw you guys. Get the hell out of here.
There's this attitude. It's just like, oh, it's China. That's just what they do.
Yeah. And they just keep knocking things off. Yes, we keep them on the World Trade Organization. And
they're in our institutions.
They're in the UN and, controlling the World Health Organization. We're dealing with something that's gotten out of control here, guys. This is there's so many aspects of what's wrong with the world's relationship with China that needs to be adjusted.
And the world allowed it to happen, and they grew this beast. Because this evil framework was there since Mao was there, but it wasn't a powerful country.
Yeah.
We fed the beast, this government, and made them powerful, but they still have Maoist framework. Yeah. They didn't change. There's no reform. They keep saying reform and opening. There isn't. Ideologically, there's no reform.
No.
It's exactly the same.
Yeah, right? Well, this is what, unfortunately, the people, which, by the way, the anniversary is coming up very soon, the Tiananmen Square massacre found out very, very, very the hard way, is that China will tolerate open financial institutions and an open economy, but they will not tolerate an open society and an open dialogue and freedom of speech. So you're free to make money, but you're not free to be free, if that makes sense.
Well, you're free to make money unless they want it.
Yeah, true.
Anyway.
Yeah. Thought we'd get there. So yeah, what's next?
It's our question.
We finally get to do the little question blurb, and it's Q&A, where we answer the remainder of your...
I still don't know why you have to say that.
Well, it's important for the listeners at home. Because don't forget,
listeners at home.
This is also in podcast format. You can listen to it on Spotify, iTunes, all that crap.
Yep.
So any kind of thing, we do put it out
If you just
there.
Google it, it'll come up with every format that you're used to.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm just saying, like, you can listen to it in your car if you don't want
I
to
totally
look at
agree
our
with that.
ugly mugs, you know?
I agree. I don't think we're that ugly. Pavel, thank you very much. Bo Gruntman, thank you very much. Jeremiah Johnson, Muns for the Cans with the Blue Mountains.
Yes. Yes.
Jeremiah.
Yes.
You know what? Actually, he's on like a Coors stint because of you.
Yeah, I love that stuff now.
I actually bought a beer with a little bit of your money as well that I liked, so I appreciate it.
Yeah. Big shout out to our good friend Tree, who sent us some beers as well.
Yes, thank you
Really
very much.
appreciate that
I
very
really
much.
appreciated that.
Yeah.
Have you?
He sent me some Coors.
He did,
In
and
bottles.
he sent me IPA.
Yeah, and you know what? I've never seen him in a bottle. So is it? Yeah, it's supposed to be a silver bullet. That's like a brown bullet.
It's a brown bullet.
Because it's in a anyway. Does it have the blue thing on the label? I'm actually not sure.
I would think so.
On a bottle? It's paper. Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Have you or you love Coors? Or have you or will you boys put together a list of anti-CCP Chinese folk who can help us break down some of the CCP brainwashing in our Chinese friends? That sounds a little accusatory.
Listen, I would love to. If you're a Chinese person who, you know, this is the biggest issue that we face, and like you will see in my video tomorrow, is the people who stand against the CCP have so much to lose that it's almost impossible for them to ever be public about their views.
Chinese people.
Yeah, the Chinese people living overseas, and Chinese people in China especially.
Sure.
They cannot appear in public. They can't say, hey, look, my name is, you know, Wen Xiaolong or something, and I am against the CCP, and they're terrible, and they did this, and they killed my grandfather or whatever. They can't do that because as soon as their face is revealed and their name is revealed, that's already too much information, and the CCP can go after their family in China, and they will pressure like a student body in the university that they're studying in or whatever to go after them and to threaten them and to, you know. So it has to always kind of be anonymous. I'm sure you've noticed I've had a couple of interviews now on my channel, which I unfortunately have to disguise the voice and face of everyone because, you know, they would be put in so much danger if I allowed people to see their face and listen to their voice. It's terrible. So to find people that are willing to go out there and be openly and publicly critical of the CCP, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like a harsh criticism. It could just be like, look, they've made mistakes, or this is not a good part of the CCP. Even a little bit of criticism will get them in hot water. So it's tough. If I could find these people, these courageous people who do exist, I would love to put together a forum where we could actually just chat to them. Yeah,
That's a great idea.
Let's try.
Cesario JPN, the left can't meme. Would this apply to China since they can't meme and instead just solve everything with the equivalent of an internet sledgehammer? I guess in a way, except, you know, that's with pure force.
Sure.
And yeah, they definitely can't meme.
No,
China.
No, they're bad at memeing.
David, bit hypocritical to bash copyright in China and then promote VPNs to get around licensing and copyright. Well, I didn't promote a VPN for you to download and steal stuff.
Nope, I just said that as a joke.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I did.
He's picking up on your joke.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. No.
Yeah, because you totally can do it though.
You could if you wanted to.
Yeah,
but we don't.
No,
we actually, you know what's funny is, I'll admit, when I was a kid, I pirated some music here and there, things like that.
I used to pirate everything.
I don't want to go too harsh.
You know why? Because in South Africa we had sanctions, and you couldn't get the stuff.
Right.
It's not possible.
Well, I didn't have money.
Couldn't go to a shop and buy stuff.
Sure.
You had to download it. And look, I mean, I'm talking about back in the BBS days with like a 2400 baud modem, and you're downloading a.
We're a little off topic.
You know, Wolfenstein 3D or something. You know, it's like that's way back in the day. But things changed.
We
and
pay.
Of course,
we pay for stuff.
Absolutely, now. It's weird.
It's more satisfying.
I got to tell you, I never thought I'd ever pay for Windows, but you know, the Windows running on my computer is 100% bought for and paid for by me.
Same with Final Cut.
We
edit our videos, and it feels better.
If you can afford it, don't pirate, basically.
Bo Grunt, it's like a PSA. Bo Grunt.
You wouldn't steal a car.
You wouldn't download a car.
You wouldn't steal a handbag. You know?
Meanwhile, this dude's watching is like, yeah, I would.
Yeah, sure.
Car thieves around the world.
You're like cracking into like an old Mercedes and like, don't steal that. It's too much hassle, dude.
Yeah. Greetings from the banana monarchy of Sweden. I'm thinking about moving abroad to start a business at some point. Would you recommend Taiwan for that? We would, wholeheartedly. We've said it many times, and we still say that. Definitely check out Taiwan.
A lot of people are scared of going to Taiwan because of the potential problems with mainland China at the moment, but that's been the case since
its inception.
Since I got to China.
No, it's been the case since 1949.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is that there were a lot of opportunities where friends had job offers in Taiwan, and they didn't take it because they were worried about that. But guess what? They could have enjoyed over a decade of a prosperous, amazing lifestyle in a fantastic country. Taiwan is still, hands down, like if I had to choose a place to live in Asia, I would choose Taiwan.
Easy.
And it's because it has all the cool, quirky conveniences of Japan, like and all the awesome products, like you get the family marts, the strong zeros and all the food but it's also Chinese, and so people speak Mandarin. Yeah, the night markets are amazing. The people are amazing, and it's a small island, but it's got such a diverse landscape.
You can go play in the snow and then go swim on the beach.
Yeah, you got Sun Moon Lake and all those beautiful mountains and your favorite sheep farm, and you know. No, but seriously, Taiwan
drink sheep milk.
It's disgusting. Ugh. Taiwan is fantastic, so I would say give it a shot.
I agree.
You know,
hand on heart.
If the world's gonna burn, it's gonna burn. You know, at least enjoy yourself.
Yeah, in Taiwan. Yeah, with the Taiwan beer.
Yeah, and by the way, you know, a friend of ours had an opportunity to go work in Taiwan. We helped him get a job and everything, and he was too worried to go to Taiwan because of the coronavirus potential outbreak. Guess what? Taiwan is the safest place
in the whole world.
They're completely unaffected. People going to restaurants, they're doing what they want, they have their normal way of life. Something like 400 cases in the entire country. And it's worse in America, and it's worse everywhere else in the world except Taiwan. So what a dumbass. Just gotta say.
Case closed 93. Hong Kong is not the end, only the beginning. Where East meets West under CCP control, it will be a launchpad for CCP to infiltrate Western democracies, stand with Hong Kong.
Well, of course, that's what I'm saying. Australia will be next, and Canada will be next. You will not be able to say something bad about Xi Jinping in Australia because there would be too much to lose, right? And they're probably going to put some kind of law down there. The fact that they flew the Chinese flag over a Victorian police station, Box Hill police station, just tells you a little something.
It does.
You know, it's there to intimidate the local Chinese people. It's there to say, China is here. China's here, Mr. Burton, you know? China's
like
here.
Landing.
Exactly. It's like, we're here, we're watching you. And it's going to get to that point where, you know, you could get just arrested. Like, just say you're a Chinese citizen who's living in Australia and you say something that the CCP doesn't like, then they're just going to arrest you and extradite you to China. I feel like that's coming. And I feel like the rest of the world's
That's a ways
see
off,
this.
but it's the framework is being built.
It's what's happening in Hong Kong now. Will be Australia, will be Canada.
Coming to your door.
If we do not put an end to this crap,
I'm pretty sure people are waking up.
Well, they're bloody better.
How many pro CCP people are in the U.S. government running for any sort of office right now? It'd be a death sentence.
Bloomberg.
He's gone.
Okay.
You know, did he win? Not even close.
No.
So I wasn't even talking about president.
Is that random guy, Six Fingers or whatever, is busy? That guy's so weird. That old guy is like delirious or
Biden,
whatever.
yeah. Hairy
crap.
legs.
I think
he's the most meme-worthy president.
American politics is to me is just like a circus. It's
hilarious.
It's so ridiculous.
Thankfully, that it's a good system.
That
trickles down.
It's really funny though.
Like, Sweet Candy King, really enjoying your content. Do you think China might already have been preparing this proposal for 2 sessions in March before it was delayed? I absolutely think so. It's a lot of stuff's been premeditated for ages. Michael Chan, you guys are cool.
Thank you.
You're cool, Michael. Stu Sasser, will China become the superpower of the world? Absolutely not.
It'd be super crap power. It'd be terrible.
It's impossible.
Yeah,
it's impossible. Whether it has enough influence to act like a scary power on the world stage is a different story. But the world can't tolerate China to be a superpower.
No, there's just too much lack of freedom.
Yeah,
and also you have to understand if you've lived in China for a long time, you would not want what's going on in China in your backyard.
No,
you know the uncontrollable levels of pollution and things like that. Which, let's be honest, let's just say you are really pissed off because every day the sky is grey and you know your child's got asthma and stuff. If that was happening in a place like LA, which it did. People go out and they're like, screw this, and they had to put all these laws against, you know, you have to get your cars smogged, you know, factories have to do this and that. You know, the people could say something and something was done. In China, you could be dying from smog and you can complain all you want.
You get arrested.
You will, you're disturbing harmony. So, you know, you wouldn't want to be living in a system where you have absolutely no say in what happens around.
I don't think we need to sell anyone on that, but I do think
I think
people
we do.
need to
There
understand.
are people out there who are constantly praising the Chinese system.
But I think that the key is what we do is the educational aspect is that we've seen what it is for a decade plus.
Yeah.
And we know what it's like, but I think people who have never been abroad typically equate their own country to other countries, and maybe that other country is just a little bit different, right?
Sure.
But it's wildly different politically, right? It's absolutely not a system that you should want to emulate.
I feel like you'd have to be drunk on cheap brandy and baijiu to actually think the CCP is like okay.
Yeah, to not understand it. Right?
Yeah, and not be able to speak the language.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, right? You
Yeah.
can't be an authority on China if you can't communicate anymore.
No.
Anyway, Tsiring Song, what do you think about the status of Americans living in Hong Kong right now? Do you think Westerners will leave Hong Kong in droves now? Well, I can give you 3 examples. We won't name them.
Yeah.
Of Westerners that just left Hong Kong or are in the process of doing so.
Yeah.
And one of them is not even a dissident. He just knows it's going to get bad.
A friend of mine who has, I can't really mention him
No,
or what he
don't.
does or anything like that, but it's, again, heartbreaking. Somebody who loves Hong Kong so much, it's no longer safe for him to be there, and he's going to have to move.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to say where, but yeah.
Case closed 93 again. In fact, the People's Republic of China was established in 1949, 50 years after Hong Kong lease was signed. That's absolutely true.
Yeah, and a lot of people kind of failed to realize this, but the idea of handing Hong Kong back, that agreement was signed with a different government, not the CCP. So if England actually really wanted to be a dick, they could say, listen, we didn't sign that agreement with you. Shut the hell up. We're keeping Hong Kong. And you know what? It's a pity they didn't.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't the Communist Party.
Still do.
Yeah. I mean, the Communist Party of China is not they are not the people that
Legally
Britain
binding,
signed the agreement.
Not that a contract means anything in China anyway.
No, but I mean, it's kind of like, it's dumb. It's kind of like, let's just say America was just overrun by communism and is now like the new Soviet Union. But you signed a trade agreement with the Democratic, Republic, whatever you call America. You sign an agreement with them. It's so confusing. And then now it's a new communist government that comes in. Would you still, hold that deal as being true? Right. It's not the same people, right?
It's not.
It's kind of dumb. Margaret Thatcher, you dumbass. That's the reason people don't like her.
I know. Deborah Ann, thank you. Bengal Tiger, New York City. Where will manufacturing go if it leaves China? We covered this last time. Vietnam, Taiwan, Southeast Asia, Indonesia, India.
Yeah.
And it's already happening.
Yes.
Jordan Larimore, in your last video, you showed the Economic Freedom Index, which doesn't substantially cover political freedom. The Freedom House Index would have been better. It lists Hong Kong as only partially free. And yes, I follow those lists absolutely. I was talking about the Economic Freedom Index, in that has not really changed, but the Political Freedom Index has dropped tremendously.
Yeah.
Momo, thank you guys. Love from Hong Kong.
Love back, man.
Or
woman.
Man. I don't know. It kind of looks like I don't know. Vlad, what do you think about the domestic terrorism in Hong Kong narrative being pushed?
We kind of spoke about that.
I read about it in Chinese media. There's massive increase in homemade bombs, some train-related wire cutting, etc.
It still doesn't change anything. It doesn't change the fact that what the Beijing government is doing, is
wrong.
bad.
You can't equate those.
Yeah, you can't. It
also,
doesn't matter.
this is a story being pushed.
Yeah, it's like,
in media.
I'm pretty sure the apartheid government tried to do the same thing and say, look at what all this savage stuff going on in the townships, people being burned alive. That's why we need apartheid. I'm pretty sure that's what they said, But guess what? Apartheid was abolished,
right.
And so should the stupid law.
Right. Daryl S. keep speaking.
So should the CCP.
Right. Have some cold ones on me. What do you think of 805 here in California? That's a good beer. I like it.
Is that Fat Tire thing?
No, it's called 805.
Okay.
Fat Tire is a brand.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
Is this a moth?
No.
Joshua Randall. Guys, I finally got a Chinese girlfriend.
Is this food?
yeah. But she has this habit of constantly wanting to play hide the sausage, and it's exhausting. What do I do? I have more power to you, man. Maybe get a bologna or something. Maybe she'll want to snack.
Just enjoy it while it lasts, mate. Enjoy it while it lasts.
Mike Huter, very generous, Mike. Thank you. Great show, guys. Thanks for so much for breaking down all these grim CCP anti-freedom issues. You definitely won't hear it in the mainstream media. stay here, safe and awesome. We certainly will.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you,
and it's correct. This soft power has extended, and the Western mainstream media, and I hate to say this, I'm not like a conspiracy theorist nut, but the mainstream media really does toe the party line. They really do kind of bend to the whims of China, because they're so worried about upsetting or being racist or being discriminatory or whatever it is, because that's their narrative against their own people. Basically.
Meanwhile, that media is blocked.
I know, they don't understand that they're blocked in China. But yes, they will very often run with, like we saw with the CBC, they will run with CCP propaganda, sometimes unwittingly. Yeah, sometimes very unwittingly. Yeah. They don't realize they're doing it. But that's the whole point, is the CCP is fantastic at manipulation. They pour more money into propaganda and that than most other departments.
In horse paintings.
Yeah. Yeah. But seriously,
maybe the Confucius Institute should have art class.
They bloody should. Yeah.
Sorry.
Anyway, yeah. No, quite honestly, like there's so much money poured into propaganda. It's surprising that they're so bad at it a lot of the times. Like, look at the Global Times.
Holy shit.
But they're also very good at it. Especially things like the Confucius Institute, guys. Right. You have no idea how much damage that particular institute has done
to the world.
All over the world, especially to Chinese students studying abroad, and how unfair it is to them.
Intimidation.
But it's terrible. They are really good at this, guys, and they've learned how to control Western media.
It is usually really terrible.
Yeah.
Like their meme game's off, their propaganda game's off. But yeah, when you start to when it's not overt, when you're controlling the narrative behind the scenes, it's different. Mm-hmm.
And so that's why the mainstream media doesn't talk about the things we talk about, because they're concerned about being labeled racist.
Racist for being against communism.
Yeah.
And loving Chinese people.
That's so dumb.
What do you mean you love Chinese people and want their best interests and freedoms? You racist.
Exactly. What's your best skill, little man?
Little man, you speak English, you idiot. Yeah. P-Dog. Wouldn't the protesters be killed by the Chinese government if they don't retaliate? There's a we've already seen that.
Yeah. Tiananmen Square. Well, I Beijing Tiananmen.
Okay. Andrew C. UK has moral responsibility for handling over free British subjects at tyranny. And they were free British subjects. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Their era started with the 99-year only lease, new territories.
Yeah.
Yeah. Victor Gutierrez. Funny that the best news on China comes from YouTube motorcycle riders. They also
it's kind of,
the world is a strange place.
Mm-hmm.
Case closed 93. Have you seen JJ McCall's recent video on Falun Gong? You should collaborate with him again, like you did on Chinese propaganda. Yeah, I did. It was quite good, actually.
Yeah.
He's a nice guy. We met him.
Yeah, we did. We met him at VidCon.
Oh yeah,
it was VidCon.
Yeah, I almost called it Tube Buddy. It was VidCon.
It was very so disappointing. It was so disappointing.
Shit. Don't go to VidCon.
We met Jesus though.
We did.
Remember
he
that?
was so over it.
Yeah,
he's so over it.
I asked him to change my water into wine. He said like he doesn't do side jobs or whatever.
Yeah, he was like so over it though. You know that Jesus guy? You pay him on Fiverr or whatever.
Yeah.
We met him. He was like, "Get the F out of my face."
He wasn't happy.
Brian Martell, I enjoyed your videos for years now. Visited Shenzhen in 2007, which left me with a lasting interest in what happens in China. Yeah. Your channels have always been my favorite. I have recommended them many times to others, and what is to see what is really happening in China. Thank you, Brian.
Well, Shenzhen 2007. Don't forget, I arrived in Shenzhen in 2006 in like February. And then I just stayed there. So it was exactly the sort of time frame that you were there. So I know exactly what you saw.
Correct. Bene, 8019, thanks much. Thank you. David, 11, remember that CCP lies, cover-ups, and lack of common law also killed 300 million of the pigs on the planet last year. Yes. We got off lightly with CCP 19. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, that is true. Like, it's kind of interesting, the cover-ups when it comes to the swine flu.
Crazy.
That African swine flu thing. Also things like hand, foot, and mouth disease, which affect kindergartens and stuff. You don't hear about these things unless it happens to someone you know. Like, I used to work, one of my first jobs in China was teaching kindergarten, right? And the kindergarten I used to work at, it's called Aixinpei, or child-loving preschool. I'm not even joking. Aixinpei kind of means like a loving heart, education. But the English name was child-loving preschool, which the fact that they had these disgusting, like, fat pedo foreigners working there sometimes, occasionally, it was a bit of a joke. But the thing is, hand, foot, and mouth disease was breaking out, and it broke out at that kindergarten.
My daughter got it.
Did not make the news.
Remember, my daughter got it when we were filming Conquering Northern China.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, it didn't make the news, but because I knew that the people working there, I found out about it. You know? Child love in preschool.
We gotta rip through this. We're almost at 2 hours.
Oh, sorry.
WP, thank you so much for all the work you do, guys. I'm looking forward to the ADV America series. Here's a little bit of help for Worthless Whip and a nice cold beer or two. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you.
We will do that.
Yeah, we're actually splicing in kind of ADV America stuff. I don't know if you saw, we went to Vegas and stuff.
Yeah.
That's on the ADVChina channel.
Yeah.
So we do occasionally mix it up. You know, right now it's kind of difficult to travel.
Yeah. Searing Sun.
Yeah.
You wonder what she envisions his legacy is going to be: unification of lost territories at the cost of destruction of the economy and decoupling from the rest of the world. I mean, God knows, we just know that his ultimate goal is to retain power.
It's just
right?
power.
It's just
He
power.
only gives a shit about power.
I'm not going to try to pronounce your name, but I can say your last name, Witkowski. Say the word Peugeot. Peugeot? I think I say Peugeot.
I say Peugeot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Peugeot. Yeah. And Renault.
Renault.
We say Renault in South Africa,
Actually,
but I know
Americans
it's Renault.
say Renault.
Do they?
Yeah.
We know it's Renault, but we say Renault anyway.
Oh, okay.
Peugeot. By the way, sorry to say, but some of my least favorite cars are French cars.
They're terrible.
I mean,
no offense.
Like my mother had the Renault 5. You know that little like weird, kind of looks like a Mini or whatever, Renault 5 when I was growing up, and the little yellow one. It's like a puke, you know, like a flat puke yellow with a brown interior.
Jeez.
Not great. But I remember I've got some fond memories of the car being young and all. But
of course. Not great.
They don't Peugeot is actually really big in South Africa.
Is it? It's not here. I mean, I think we got them in the 80s for like a couple of years.
Oh, it's massive.
Right.
It's like, you know,
I'm familiar because of China. They're all over China.
Right.
Some
of their new stuff's good, actually.
Is it?
I rented one when we did Stay Awesome China.
Oh,
to drive around, and I was quite impressed. It's a fun little car.
Oh, we got one for Northern China as well.
No, that did we?
Yeah.
Oh, that was the biggest. Well,
it was tiny.
Big SUV.
That was a Peugeot.
Okay.
It was.
Yeah,
they're 509
massive.
or whatever.
Yeah, they're big in China. Yeah.
Josema, sad news. Hong Kongers deserve a better future. West media is totally controlled by corrupt money and left socialist mind. Never confront CCP abuses. We just touched on that, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
EJ877, CCP taking advantage of a liberal society to advance its goals. 100%. Paul Duong, thank you.
Thank you.
Sam Wilson, thank you. Sick Lid.
Sick Lid.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, guys.
There we go.
Hey, Winston, your pop's voice is very soothing. Wish he could narrate every book I own.
Thanks. Talking about my dad's channel. Little selfless plug here, but my father, you know, he had a lot of adventures through Africa. He still does. But,
Great book, by the way.
He wrote a book, and when he was visiting me here, I convinced him to sit down and record some of his stories. So I filmed them, and he's got his own channel. It's called Surviving Africa.
Right.
So if you want to see some sort of encounters with lions and king cobras and various other things.
If you get to do a plug, I'm plugging my t-shirt.
Go for it.
Everpress.com/Lao86. All right. Actually, you know what? The two links we just mentioned, Jesse put them in the chat.
Yeah, please. Yeah. So Surviving Africa, my old man's channel.
Sure.
Yeah.
AQTNet, what do you think of China in focus? They support many things you say. We covered this last time. I mean, we know their ties to the Falun Gong, but it doesn't mean they don't do good journalism.
Sure.
Carport Carl, thank you.
Yeah, you have to understand that you don't want to paint yourself with a brush.
No.
So if you support these kind of medias that are backed by a very biased thing, like either the CCP or the Falun Gong, because those are your two little factions here, really, then you discredit yourself.
Sure.
So I would like to, quite honestly, just throw my support behind anything that's anti-CCP or that's against CCP. But at the same time, I do not ever want people to think that I'm pro-Falun Gong, because I'm not.
It's exactly like your argument trying to say like a couple violent protesters mean that the system they're fighting against is good.
Yeah.
You can't equate that, right?
No, you can't.
Just because we agree on something, it doesn't matter where your funding comes from or where this is.
Yeah.
If your heart's in the same place on a issue, then you can agree on that issue.
Yeah.
So don't equate that with anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like
enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of thing.
Yeah. Cairo, for some warm Stella Artois beers for C-Milk. That sounds terrible. Thank
Dude,
you, though.
he, no joke, drank
Stop.
a warm...
What was it called? The Rasputin?
Rasputin. It's like a really bitter stout IPA
Drank
/
it warm.
Yeah, and he drank it warm yesterday.
Oh no!
He really did.
I wanted to cut this off so you didn't rat me out.
No, seriously.
Shit.
Nothing is changing this guy. He drinks warm beer.
I don't.
It's so bad.
I
And
don't. It's just
especially
sitting
a beer
there.
like that, a stout IPA, which is bitter and cloying, and it's warm. Anyway,
Sorry. Oh.
I try my best, guys, but
Zachary.
Yeah.
Any other China history content other than you guys I should watch? Already seen Conquering Northern and Southern China. I'm sure there's a ton out there.
Have you seen Stay Awesome China? Because
That's Chinese history, but yeah, I
well,
recommend it.
it is modern Chinese
You've
history.
plugged yourself so many damn times in this episode.
This is not. You got to understand that these documentaries that we shot, by the way, very big achievements for us.
Huge.
And it's not something that we earn money off of. You got to understand. When we plug it, we're not plugging because we actually did it with some friends of ours. That's how we did it. Our producer is a guy I met. We won't go through the
We're
whole
just
story,
friends, yeah.
but basically we split all the revenue that comes from the Vimeo sales. It's not a lot.
No.
It will make a couple $100 every 6 months or something. It's really not a lot of money. But that was due to our lack of knowledge with the movie industry. So we sold off the rights for very cheap. We screwed up a lot, let's put it that way. But the actual products, Conquering Southern China, Conquering Northern China, are something we're incredibly proud of.
Correct.
And it shows the best of China. So that's why we like it.
Right.
But also Stay Awesome China, which was the last documentary I did before I left China, where I actually went, and it was very hairy because I was interviewing people who were kind of on the edge of society, people that were kind of fighting against the system, people that are special, interesting,
that needed
and different. And I went around to all the first tier cities and interviewed them, and went into like a house where the girls do the live streaming, and I met up with a nude photographer and a rap band and a sexy cyborg and all these people. And it's a fantastic documentary, and it's out there on Vimeo, so you can watch it, and it's part of what we do anyway. I would put it in, you weren't in the documentary because you were elsewhere at the time, but the fact of the matter is it's still in line. It's the same people that did Conquering Southern China, Conquering Northern China, same editors and producers and stuff. So definitely go check it out if you haven't seen it, because it's a real treat. I got drunk the other night and I watched it again, and I was like, this is a great documentary.
Yeah, it's good. I liked it.
Yeah.
Norman Fair, extra points for the Big Trouble in Little China quote.
Nice.
Lustrous. What is your opinion on NTD News? We just
similar.
Thank you. No, it is the same thing.
The same thing, yeah.
Chad Hurst, isn't the transplantation of manufacturing to Vietnam just borrowing from Peter to pay Paul? Never forget you, too, are crucial. Love y'all.
Thank you.
We can hope that Vietnam doesn't end up with the same political system that China has. It's on the path to being like that. But at the same time,
they
Vietnam
don't like China.
No, they don't, and they're also friendly to the West.
And they don't have blocked internet. Well, not like China anyway.
Correct. And honestly, they don't operate with the same only self-interest in mind thing.
Yeah, they don't.
So there's some crucial differences.
There's one issue with that, is that there's a lot of Chinese companies simply move their factories to Vietnam so that people think they're dealing with Vietnam, but they're actually still dealing with China.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's worrying.
Yeah.
To Rescue, I get it. History repeats itself. No thought about society change in 99-year lease, then a 50-year two-system BS agreement. The UK should have had foresight, especially knowing that China government then. Share some Omegang with Winston.
What's Omegang?
It's like a Belgian ale.
Okay.
Thank
okay,
you.
Sounds great.
Zachary, P.S. Deng threatened to invade Hong Kong. Yeah, we know, and that's why there's a really good game about it.
Yeah, 1997.
Han W. No question, just wanted to thank you guys for your great work as always. Hope to have a beer with you one day in Melbourne.
Thank you.
Thank you, my bro. Da Long, great episode, guys. Phil Expat from Canada.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing your insights on these important issues. Thank you. Trumple Stiltskin, my man. Here's some beer money. Put some in defense stocks too.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Eddie
Buy
P.
war bonds.
Eddie P. Yeah. The CCP is at war with the world, and the world doesn't even know it. Just saying.
It's true. It's been subverting, the way the world works for a long time now.
Auslander 808. The world flexes. No signs back down. Could just see this going towards armed conflict, even if just proxy wars.
Well, we hope not.
Probably not.
Yeah, we hope not. Yeah, basically.
We're not like soothsayers. We've been presented with certain facts that we can translate for you in a way, but we can't predict military action.
Right.
Mike Huter, Stay Awesome China is worth it just for the rapping. Don't
you
dare!
That's, it was terrible. I got put on the spot.
That's why you wouldn't watch it.
Yeah, because basically the rap band was like, put me on the spot. They start doing a beat and they're like, okay, go for a rap. I'm like, what am I supposed to say? So I made up
Now
the most
everyone's gonna go
ridiculous
watch it.
rap ever.
Don't even spoil it.
Yeah.
People can go see it now because they're gonna be like, "Holy shit, you rapped!"
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Thank you for all the links to Jesse Horn. He just posted them. He's our moderator. So
Thanks.
all the things we mentioned, his dad's channel, the documentaries, the T-shirt, which is not correct.
Is it?
No.
Yeah, because it's WAI.
Yeah.
Can you make sure that the link to to my parents' channel works?
It is correct.
Really? Just click it anyway. It is correct. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Thank you guys. I'm sorry we went way over time today, but we'll see you in a couple weeks. See you.
It's actually
tomorrow
been
on your
fun.
channel.
Yeah,
it's been super fun
been
hanging
fun.
out with you guys. Hopefully the doom and gloom stuff and all this bullshit that we talk about the China's dastardly deeds doesn't get you down, because there's a little humor injected in there. We can laugh about all this. The world is burning.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Guys, seriously, please join me tomorrow for my video. It'll be 10 a.m. Pacific time.
And check out my video from Wednesday, because I
Yes.
covered the Hong Kong thing.
Absolutely, yes. Actually, a very good video again.
Thank you.
Very good video.
Appreciate it.
Guys, we'll see you next time. We can't wait. Actually, it's always a pleasure being able to talk to you and have
Tis.
you on the show.
Tis.
So thank you so much.